Welcome to Season 0, Episode 2 of Next Level Gamescast, a Level Up Network's monthly gaming talk show. I'm one of your co-hosts, Andrew. I make the show Midori, and I'm joined tonight by the classy douchebag, Mike McLaughlin. We got the tech guru, Agent Vincent.
Hello.
And we have the voice, Jersey Tom.
And good evening, everybody. Hold on a second. I got some ASMR for you guys.
Oh, what are you drinking there? What are you drinking?
I got myself a nice little Voodoo Ranger Imperial.
Oh, that means nothing to me. Literally nothing.
I
forgot that I had a six-pack left of some Flying Fish. I can't remember what they call it. Their summer brew, and it's like this. It's almost like a sour, but it's not officially a sour. And I was going to crack that open.
Guys, Flying Fish.
Yeah, it's right around the corner for me.
Guys, it's just a bunch of snobs.
I could walk to it in like 5 minutes. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. How are we all doing tonight? This is an exciting night. We have a huge show, am I right? So we have an absolutely massive show tonight, an amazing show, filled to the brim with big gaming stories, of course, including the Cyberpunk 2077 disaster. We'll be finalizing our top 5 games of the generation, and much, much more. If you enjoy the show at any point, please follow us at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Or if you're watching or listening to an archive, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever is your service of choice. And if you really enjoy the show, you can go above and beyond with a Twitch subscription, cheer, tip, your choice. NLG After Show is a possibility tonight, up to an hour. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, just type in !After Show in the chat.
Good luck with that, guys.
And lastly, NLG is a very interactive talk show, utilizing Discord in a major way. So join us on Discord at discord.gg/The Level Up Network. Become a part of this community even when the show is not live. We're going to start off with something really exciting. It's kind of crazy that this is the end of Season 0 tonight. Like, just like that,
God.
you know? It was only 2 episodes this time around, so it went really quickly.
It was a nice way to introduce everybody to the concept of the seasons.
Right. That was the whole point. So, Season 0, Episode 1, I think was a great start. I think we're going to have an even better show tonight. We'll see how things go. But starting in January 1st, we are going to be moving on to Season 1. We're leaving the Final Fantasy theme behind. All those collectibles go away. All your SP and your ranks, all that goes back to 0, and we start anew. And we're going to actually be detailing what the Season 0 prizes are tonight in just a moment. To those that get the number 1, number 2, or number 3 spot in top score, type in !Top Score in the chat if you'd like to learn more about that. But right now, let's just jump over to Discord. Right now, it's a private channel that nobody else can see except us TLUN guys. But we're going to detail Season 0 for you guys right now. Season 1, I'm sorry. Season 1 starts on January 1st and ends on March 31st. And right off the bat, let's go into our seasonal merch. You're going to get a little spoiler here on what the theme of the season is based on that first shirt. Probably, I would hope most of you would know what the Gotta Collect Them All shirt is all about. So that is our first January merch. Exclusive to January. It goes away at the end of that month, and that is going to be a subscriber exclusive one. So you have to be a Twitch subscriber in order to get that shirt or hoodie or long sleeve. It goes across the whole thing. After that, in February, we have the names of NLG, of course, utilizing that classic ampersands template, but we got that little flair with the period instead being the badge that you guys might know from the Next Level Gamescast logo. And then finally, continue with another badge from the Next Level Gamescast logo. It is the centerpiece of the faces of NLG. We're really, really happy with how it's turned out. We commissioned this artwork off of Fiverr with a sort of minimalistic style, as you can see, and it looks really, really cool. You guys can't even see on that small shirt there, but when it's blown up, we have it in super high quality 4K for each of our faces. It looks really great, doesn't it, guys?
Fantastic.
Danielle
can I
has
use
made
that
it her
avatar now?
Yes, you can. You can use it as an avatar.
Her photo for me for when I call, so I've had to see that for the last.
It truly captured my baby blues.
It did. Yes, for sure.
And yes, now that we've officially revealed it, you guys can use it as your avatars and all that. Yes. I know you guys have been waiting to do that. As for our seasonal segment for Season 1, we are going to be doing another bracketed tournaments. We'll be doing the top 64 games of the decade. Now, you might be asking, wait a second, didn't the decade end with 2019 into 2020? You would think so, but there's a lot of debate
confident.
surrounding this. Yes, there's a lot of debate surrounding
I'm still very salty about this.
when a decade actually ends. But we're not going to get into that. The point is, we're going to be choosing 2011 to the end of 2020 as our decade for this tournament. We're going to be doing a total of 5 rounds. So 32 battles in the first episode, and then we'll go down to 16 battles for the second episode, and then the final episode will round out everything. All the battles will finish up in that final episode. And we will also do a bronze medal as well. A gold, a silver, and a bronze medal for that tournament. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to check out the link on the Discord channel once you have access to it. And let us know if we missed something. I made the cardinal sin of forgetting Lara Croft, Tomb Raider herself, on the last tournament. So I don't want that to happen again. Feel free to use suggestions and feedback and let us know if there is a clear, glaring omission on a game that is missing from the top 64 games of the decade. Moving on. Theme will change. SP will reset. Hours, ranks, all of it. How do you earn SP? I think you guys know. You can be in chat, tip, raid, follow, sub. All those give you the SP, of course. But the theme has changed, and you might know what it already is, but I'll say it now. It is Pokemon. We are doing Pokemon as our Season 1 theme, and it's actually really cool. This is the first time we're going to make it so you can only get certain ranks if you are a subscriber. So kind of think of it like an evolutionary chart for Pokemon between followers and subscribers, where followers are the first, tier, whatever that, like the bottom level Pokemon is. Its starting point, and then if you are a subscriber, you will have the final evolutionary state of that Pokemon. So to take, the top 3, the first 3 as an example, I think Bulbasaur is the first one, right? Am I right on that?
I believe so.
Number 1 is Bulbasaur. So if you are rank 1 follower, you'll be Bulbasaur. But if you are a rank 1 subscriber, you will be Venusaur. And it goes across the entire thing. There are a lot of ranks this time around because this is a longer season. This is a 3-month season. So we have the Google Doc there, as you can see. Check it out after the show tonight when the Discord channel goes live and see all of the ranks that you can try to hit. Moving on, we have redemptions. We're going to hold on to the $50 PSN card giveaway, but we're hoping that you guys have a better shot at getting it this month. You can still get it this month as well, actually. There's still 10 days left, 11 days left in Season 0. So that can still happen if you want to activate the $50 PSN card by using your SP for that. But with a 3-month season in Season 1, you have an even better shot to utilize your seasonal points and get that $50 PSN card raffle giveaway. But the collectibles are what's really exciting, and we decided to make this more special this time around. We felt like in Season 0, there wasn't enough exclusivity. There wasn't enough rarity, and for that reason, we raised up the prices in SP, and we also increased the rarity of everything. So there are, again, 15 different items, but as you can see, even the lowest of them, the most common item, the Pokédex, is only 10. So this time around, you guys are really going to have to fight for things, we're hoping. That's the whole point. But rarest of all, the Master Ball, of course. There's only one of them, right? Then you got the Squirtle Shades, got pre-released Raichu card, which if you guys don't know, this is kind of a special thing within Pokemon card collecting. It is the rarest Pokemon card in existence. Only like 10 of them exist or something like that because it was a misprint or whatever. After that, you got Misty's Bicycle, Brock's Jelly-Filled Donuts.
These are my favorite. I love jelly-filled donuts.
You got the Team Rocket. Team Rocket Beret, the Relic Crown, Dark Ball, Megastone, Rare Candy, Lychee Berry, Shiny Leaf Crown, Chansey's Lucky Egg, the leftovers, and as we already said, everybody should try and get a hold of a Pokédex. It is essential to any Pokemon trainer that you've got to get a Pokédex. So that'll be the most common of all 10 available for the Pokédex at 500 seasonal points. Moving on to our bounties for Season 1. Again, we wanted to change things up because we felt like there wasn't enough activity with bounties this season. And I think the reason for that was you guys didn't really want to dive back into those old games. You just wanted to play what's coming out now. We realized that, and we decided to change things up as a result. First off, we are going to incentivize bounties further by increasing the value of every tier. They're pretty much doubled this season. And we're also choosing a lot of games that just came out. Spider-Man Remastered, Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Astro's Playroom, Demon's Souls, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Sackboy A Big Adventure, Bug Snacks, and Godfall. And Tier 7... Talk about Bug Snacks. Well, you'll be talking about Bug Snacks in just a moment, right, Tom?
I will.
Yes, and we actually added on to Tier 7 this month. It was just going to be the Platinum Trophy for Cyberpunk 2077, but considering everything surrounding Cyberpunk 2077, we figured maybe we should add something else there as well. So Cyberpunk 2077 is still an option if you have it and you want to try and get that Platinum and
If it's
somehow
not
are
bugged.
able to. But if you want to take a shot and wait until close to the end of March, just 12 days left in the season, take your shot at a Platinum Trophy in Returnal. And you can get that 10,000 seasonal points for Tier 7 that way as well. It's one or the other, though. You can't do both, either Cyberpunk 2077 or Returnal. Platinum Trophy or 1,000 gamer score. It goes across all. That even includes Steam as well. So don't forget, you can utilize Steam, PlayStation, or Xbox for the bounties. Moving on from that, photo contest. Again, we were a little disappointed this time around. We thought we would get a little more activity with the photo contest. So what we decided to do is keep all the games the same. We're going to extend the Season 0 photo contest, and we're going to allow you guys to use the same themes and games. But instead of having a contest for each theme, it is all collected into one ultimate competition. Now, when you post your photo to our Discord, just make sure to post what the theme is you're targeting. That way we know like what you're going after and what, you know, what the context of that photo is. But you can target any game or any theme, and it has to be one. You can post as many as you want to the Discord, of course, just to show off. But if you want your photo to be the entry photo, make sure to mark it as such with the photography theme that you've chosen. That way we can collect them all up and decide who the winner of Season 1 will be. And as it was last season, the more entries we get in the contest, the higher the value is. 20 plus entries, if that were to happen, we really hope that's a possibility. 10,000 SP to first place, 5,000 SP to second place, and 2,500 SP to third place. So there you have it. That is Season 1. We'll unlock this channel after the show tonight so you can see everything. But also don't forget, take advantage of fake fans. Take advantage of NLG's Got Game, Halftime Hedge. Use suggestions and feedback. Let us know what you think of everything. And, you know, this is going to be a constantly evolving thing, right? Next Level Gamescast. We hope to improve it more and more as time goes on. A lot of crazy stuff going on in chat. I see it. We all see it. Thank you so much, guys. Hype trains are happening. We do have alerts turned off now, unfortunately, but it means so much. You guys are unbelievable with all the support. Drock coming in with another 4 gifted subs. We're going to hit that daily sub goal already, and we'll do all the wheel spins, of course. Wheel spins happen during commercial break, and if we get after show, we can do a bunch of stuff during that as well, if we do get some crazy marbles, wheel spins, or the like. So what do you guys think? Are we excited for Season 1 of Next Level Gamescast?
I'm so excited.
Hey, I'm ready to catch them all. I don't know about everybody else.
Yes, got to catch them all. And as I said,
remember everybody out there, you got to be the very best, like no one ever was, if you truly want to get that Master Ball.
The Master Ball, the only one. There can only be one. Just
only
like this
one.
This month, the only white materia went to King Kurt. So congratulations to you, King Kurt. And not Dark Passenger, who was it? Evil Resonance, I think Rose, and one other got the Dark Crystals. So congrats to you guys. And you do have a little bit of time left to get those collectibles for Season 0, so don't forget about that. Speaking of Season 0, let's reveal what the prizes are. The prizes for the top score earners, you can type in ! top score in the chat to find out where they are currently. You will choose between 3 prizes. Now, of course, first place gets first choice. Second place gets second choice, and third place gets third choice. So, here are the 3 items. A PS Plus 1-year subscription, early access to any one Season 1 merch item. That means even ahead of when they actually release. So, if you were to win at the end of this month, and you want the March merch item, guess what? You got it. You are early access. You will have it before anybody else. And it's your choice, even up to a hoodie for that, premium hoodie for that one. And the number 3 collectible or prize, any one Season 0 t-shirt or long sleeve shirt. Ooh. Now that means any that's already expired as well. So if you were to have missed out on any of the merch that was released and is now expired, this is your last chance to get that. Wow. So there you have it. Those are this season's 3 prizes. You have a little bit of time left to fight, battle it out, and try and get that number 1 spot. Don't forget that both seasonal points and the hours as well, they are combined in a calculation that totals your top score. So both of those things matter. And I want to give a shout out real quick to King Kurt and Evil Resonance, the number 2 and number 1 respectively, this month in hours. They've been insane. I feel like they haven't missed a single hour of any stream this season. It's been awesome. You guys rock. All of you rock. What an insane season. And when it comes to what the prizes will be, that will be somewhat determined by how much support we get, right? So if like revenue was crazy that season, we will level up those prizes, right? We will do something a little more crazy. Maybe you could even go to like a $100 PSN card or something crazy like that if the season is truly wild. So keep that in mind. The more support we get, the more we're going to try and give back. We're going to try and pay it forward, right? So we had a great season 0. I'm really happy with how things turned out. I think we're going to improve as time goes on. Mike, speaking of improving the show season by season, episode by episode, how did we perform on last month's episode of NLG?
Got a lot to say about that. You ready?
Please do.
Perfect.
Oh,
that was it.
We were perfect? Is that what you're saying?
Fake fans. This week, or I guess last episode, we had 1 episode without error. And we are rolling good. We are rolling.
Thank you. I think we need to celebrate that with a little stamp here, Mike. 1 episode without error. But I think people need to understand, like, how do they alert us of errors that we've made on the show?
They can actually go into our Discord, into the fake fans section, and let us know what we get wrong and what the actual truthful information was. Please. And how were the fake fans.
Yes, it's very important to let us know what the actual correct information is, because we need to verify this stuff. We're not going to just take you at your word that we, the experts, got it wrong. No.
Exactly. Sorry,
prove us
that's
wrong.
not happening. Exactly.
No way. So, as time goes on, we're just going to keep telling you guys how many episodes we've been perfect. So I hope that you challenge us at some point. We don't want to go unchallenged. We want to feel that challenge. I'm sure we got something wrong in episode 1.
Guarantee we did.
I'm sure we did. We had to.
No.
Maybe.
You guys just weren't on top of it.
Yeah.
So don't forget as well, if you do take advantage of fake fans and you are correct, you get seasonal points. We will give you seasonal points as well. If you are able to call us out and you are correct, we will give you seasonal points. All right. Moving on. Next up in the show, you can challenge us once again in this segment. It's called NLG's Got Game. And last month was really exciting with this. Hitman RX challenged us with a really fun event and activity. And I think it was about listing how many sequels, right? How many sequels each series had. And we got it way off. Well, actually, we weren't too far off. I gotta say, we actually weren't.
Some of you weren't too off, but I was definitely off.
Yeah, we weren't too bad. We were pretty close. I will admit I didn't verify. Because it would have been a little too much for me to verify. But I trust Hitman RX.
That would have been a perfect time for fake fans if somebody could
right.
us there.
But this month we got another submittal. It can be either an activity or trivia, or if you guys want to get like super creative, feel free to get super creative and try and create something that we're not expecting. This month it's kind of a take on something we've done in the past, and it's sort of like video game A to Z. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Nope. Yes.
I know Mike remembers that.
I do.
I don't.
So the gist of that was that I would name a video game title starting with A, and the next person would name a video game title starting with B, and then C, and so on. And we go round table, right? But this time around, King Kurt says, name a video game character, last letter edition. So that means the last letter of the character's name must be used for the first letter of the next. So an example would be, if I were to say Tom, that means the next person would say Mike, because Tom ends in M and Mike starts in M. And then the next person after Mike would have to say a name that starts with E. Do we understand?
Yes.
I hate
So you're
this.
telling me I already lost?
Really? Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
I'm bad with these. I'm bad with these types of games, guys. I'm really.
So
bad.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this extra special this
Oh
month.
God.
I'm going to allow our viewers to bet on this,
Oh.
on who is going to win this little battle here.
Do
So,
not
Andrew-
bet on me.
Mike, don't do that. Come on. We got
We'll
to
give you guys 701 odds if Vince wins.
Vince,
All right.
Vince is trying to play the. He's trying to cook the books a little bit here.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a timer right now. It's a 1 minute
Cooking it
timer.
nice.
You can bet a minimum of 100 SP up to a maximum of 500 SP. And if you are right, you will double your seasonal points. If you are wrong, you will lose the seasonal points that you bet. All right? So go ahead. Who will win? Andrew, Mike, Vince, or Tom? And while people are getting in on that for the next 1 minute, let me just explain a couple more rules. No name can, of course, be named twice. Once a name has been put out there, you cannot reuse it. Next up, if it's a generic name, either, first off, give the last name. If there's a first and a last name, do the first and the last name. But if it's like a truly generic name that doesn't have a last name, let's say like Isabel, make sure to say the game that it's with. That way we know you're not just throwing out Mary. And then it's like, wait, hold on a sec. Is that truly, did you just say Mary? Or is there like a game that you have associated with this, right? So no cheating here. All right. Let's let people get in here.
I appreciate that Denny believes in me.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. Can I see live what people are... Oh, Tom's doing really well here. Look at this. Tom's got 3 bets already. What's this all about? Are you known for this, Tom?
I mean, we did used to play a game at one of the networks that I worked for. We did used to play a game similar to this called Rapid Fire.
Okay.
And it was essentially that. Yes, you would have to rattle off as many names as you can of things going back and forth. There would be a one-on-one competition. I say one name, you say the next one, and you only have like maybe 5 seconds to think of something, and then you gotta say something or you're out.
Now that people have bet already, I will say I don't expect myself to be good at this because I was practicing it off stream, and it's like not easy. It's really not easy.
It's really
with video
not.
game
Especially
titles, I
once you
feel like it's a
start
lot
getting
easier.
to, like, especially once you start getting to like certain letters, then you're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like I know maybe one with this character, with this one, but you know, we'll see.
Okay. It looks like only 3 people got in on the bet. The bet is over. 3 people got in. All right. So you guys have... Sorry, it's already closed. You guys were a little too slow there. Was I not fast enough? Did I not give enough time there?
I don't know. We had like 5 people bet right after you closed it off.
Should I start it again real quick?
I don't
Give you
know.
guys, since it seems like people are ready.
I
You
guess.
know, give them one more shot.
Give them one more shot. I feel bad. I think like 6 people got in there and only 3 actually did. So there you go. Restarting it. Everybody that got in previously, do it again. But you only have 1 minute, so do it right now.
Do it again.
And as far as the
Just like
roundtable goes,
Arkanoid.
the order, let's do it in order of like what's on screen. So it'll be me, then Vince, then Tom, then Mike, and then back to me. Now, of course, we kind of need to play like a, hey, you were taking a little too long there. You're out. Like, it's just the way it is, right? We're going to kind of feel it out. And it is what it is. So, you know, don't fight us. If we all agree that you took too long, then you're out. And now's your last chance to think in your head, like, okay, what's a video game character that starts with O? Because right, that's what I'm thinking right now. Like, what is a video game character that starts with O? Why can't I think of one right now? Like, what the hell, dude? There's so many, and I'm sure I
Does
can.
John Madden count as one?
No, it does not. Neither does like
Really?
Spider-Man. By the way,
wouldn't
another
have-
rule. Yes, Spider-Man does not count. Joker does not count. You can't use comic
Wait,
book
really?
characters. No, come on. You gotta be a
What if
video
they
game
have?
character.
Hold on. Spider-Man legitimately has its own video game.
I know it does, but he started as a comic book character.
I mean, all right. Now we're setting some weird ass rules, man.
Is there really that many that we need to be worried about here?
Yeah,
like, you can't say
there's plenty that
Geralt,
you're
I
gonna be an
guess, because of The
asshole about
Witcher.
it.
Because that was a book first.
Wow.
Can't say
All right,
Geralt.
let's agree to this. Am I like out of touch here? Do you guys disagree with me that it should be
Listen,
an actual
if
video
we're
game
just-
character?
If we're saying honestly, I would say no to Joker. Why? Because he doesn't have his own video game. He's in a video game, but he doesn't have his own game. Spider-Man at least has his own video game.
And so does John Madden.
John Madden, I would actually count as well because
What? Are you
and
serious?
he's the
Come on.
announcer,
All right.
therefore a character in his own video game.
Enough is enough. Okay,
You
moving
know.
on. All right, I will start. Are we ready for this?
No.
Okay, yes.
Wait, what's the order again?
What order are we doing this here?
It's me first, then Vince, then Tom, then Mike, and then back to me.
Okay, so the order that you see on the screen.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly. All right,
Don't
here,
end in a Q.
here we go. Considering that I was worried about O, I'm going to say Chrono.
Okay. So then I go next, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have to use O.
Yep. We're just starting. Give them a little time.
Nope. I'm out. I'm out. See, I
Oh,
told you.
man.
Yeah, I'm already.
All right.
man.
So I steal from there.
Tom, you're up. You're up. You got to do something with an O.
Oswell E. Spencer
Okay.
from Resident Evil.
Okay, so starting with an R, Mike.
Ratchet.
Tommy Vercetti.
Is it going back to me?
No, it's Tom now.
Iggy Koopa.
Okay. Yes, you're right. That's good. That's fine. Okay, so A. Start with an A.
Alan Wake.
Okay. Ellie.
Eggman.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nathan Drake.
Okay. E. Let's see. Enigmatic Man. Does that count?
You said Enigmatic Man?
Does that count?
What the hell is that from?
I don't know. Is that from something? I don't know.
No! What the hell?
I don't know why.
You're saying rules and you can't even figure
I'm just saying.
Made up a video game character.
It feels like
on this
it feels like that's it feels like that's a character for some reason. Echo the Dolphin. There you go. Echo the Dolphin.
Echo the Dolphin?
Yeah. Is that not a character from a video game? I'm looking.
Enigmatic Man.
Shoot.
Yes, it's Kingdom Hearts. I thought so. Kingdom Hearts. Enigmatic Man. It counts.
Really? That was in Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
This is pretty long, man.
This is pretty long.
It's really long. I don't blame you guys if you knock me out here. Nemesis.
Okay. All right. Mike, go ahead. S.
Can I say
I got a little bit. Let me just say I got a little bit of leeway there, so let's give Tom leeway too. So Mike,
Okay.
S.
Sully? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that counts.
Yuna. Why Yuna?
A.
Arthur from Ghost and Goblins.
Okay. Arthur. So R, Mike.
R. Shit.
I don't know, Mike. 5.
4.
I think that's it, man.
3.
He's out. Mike's out.
20 minutes, but yeah, that's fine. I actually have nothing.
Okay, so now I've got to do an episode or a character with an R.
Yes.
Reno from Final Fantasy VII. I think that's it, man.
Yeah, it's. I was gonna say. It was gonna be Doc Ock's real name. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing that's coming up in my head.
I got it. It's mine. Let's call it.
Help, man. It had to be an O.
All right, what names start with R besides Ratchet and Reno?
Rolento.
Rude from Final Fantasy VII as well. Could go Rude. There's a lot of Final Fantasy characters I could have gone with there, but I would have said Otacon.
That's what I was saying.
Oh my
No one said
God.
no one said Otacon, and I have no idea how.
Yeah, that was the one that kept in my brain in case O came up.
For everybody here to call me a fake fan of Metal Gear Solid that I didn't remember Otacon.
And Yoshi were the two. I was like, if I get Y, I could possibly be screwed, except for Yoshi. Yoshi is it.
Come on, I did not cheat. First off, Enigmatic Man counts in my opinion, but on top of that, I quickly went to Echo the Dolphin.
That's
so
right,
come on,
Garrett,
that counts
I'm a
as
big
well.
fan.
You recovered. That's okay. Ish. Except, I don't know, Enigmatic Man was just so obscure.
That is obscure.
Ocelot,
I will
freaking
agree.
Ocelot. Oh my
Ocelot
God.
was also a good one. Yeah, Ocelot would have been good.
Man.
Well, anyway, I am the winner, and I was
I
the
went-
number 1 spot, right? Or was I number 0? How does it
way
work?
too Resident Evil there. I just planned. I was like, all right, it's going to be all Resident Evil names. I know all of those.
Is it bet winner? Oh, I might have to look this up. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll do it during commercial break. Hopefully, he stays
There you
active.
go.
Or do it during somebody else's segment.
Well, who was the one person that voted for me, or who bet for me? There was only
No
one
one bet for
person.
you.
Who was the one person? Thank you so much for believing in me.
No one bet for you. I had like 2 people bet for me. I don't know why you would do that. It's the
There was
worst
one
idea.
for each of us, but Tom got 3 or 4. So there was 4. Tom got 4. So there was a lot of belief in Tom.
There was a lot of belief in me, and I apologize to everybody who counted on me. That was my mistake. I apologize.
I'm gonna have to go back up here and look for Tony N64. He was the one. He bet 100. Okay, he went with the
I
lowest
need
value.
to, I got to do something to help you guys out there.
There you go. Tony N64 gets 100 seasonal points because he bet on me. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Tony. And that's the way it works here, guys. Another fun night of NLG's Got Game. Please take advantage of this. We only had the one submittal this month. We would love to see more. Get on our Discord at discord.gg/thelevelupnetwork. Go to the hashtag NLG Got Game channel and come up with something creative or trivia or an activity of some kind. It really doesn't need to be super complex. That was not complex. Last month's was not complex, but I still think both times it was a lot of fun. So make sure to take advantage of that, everybody, for NLG's Got Game. Moving on, we are now going to get into what we've been playing this month. I'm going to start off. We're going to move pretty quick here because we're a little behind now.
Yep.
I played Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I know you did as well, Tom, right?
I also played Spider-Man Miles Morales. Marvel's
Yes.
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yes, he does not count as a video game character, but he does have his own game that might just shake.
But John Madden does.
But John Madden does. I really enjoyed this game, Tom. I really did. I would say I still like the first game overall a little bit more because I cared more about the story and the characters in that game than I did this one. But one area that I feel like a lot of people would be hard pressed to say the first game is better in is combat. This game, utilizing the Venom powers, I don't know how they top this. I don't know how you go back to Peter Parker actually after this and make it work because I'm gonna miss those powers so much.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the usage of the Venom powers was much better than the suit mods from the first game. The fact that I didn't have to like unequip and then re-equip a special ability, and especially then too, because you would find one ability and you would just constantly use that. Like I constantly used the one AOE where that the Punk Spider-Man had, that like blasted everybody away from me. But here, like, you actually got a chance to utilize all of those different powers, and I think it worked a lot better. It was a lot more seamless, and it helped out vary up your combos and stuff. I loved the combat in this one much better than the first.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I kind of like that it was a tighter experience. I like that it didn't overstay its welcome. And even though I didn't connect with the story and the characters in the way I did with the first game, that ending was really great. And I was surprised at how much was at stake there. I didn't think they were going to make it that intense for this sort of mini game in between what I would assume is like the first and the true sequel. So I was really pleased with that, with how far they were willing to go with what was on the line and how much had to be sacrificed at that end there. So I really recommend this game to everybody. It's a really solid action game.
I connected with this one pretty well, personally. I don't know. And maybe it's because I have the added benefit of having watched Into the Spider-Verse, so then you have actual, like, extra incentive because you already know, like, who some of the characters are. Like Aaron Davis, for instance.
Exactly.
So,
I'm with you. If I didn't see the movie, it would not have connected with me as much as it did. And as I said, it wasn't quite what I wanted to be, but I'm glad I knew about Spider-Verse because of that. Moving on, Demon Souls started off for me as something I really, really enjoyed. I loved the first 3 Archstones. I was really vibing with it. Of course, the first couple hours are always tough in those games, right? And you're feeling things out, and it's like, oh, can I get through this? And then you do, and it's like, okay, I'm in a zone now. But once I got to that 4th Archstone, man, the game kind of fell apart for me, I gotta admit.
Which one's the 4th one again?
That is the one with all of the freaking stingrays, dude, in the sky.
Oh, that's the best one.
Are you serious? You gotta be joking.
No, I love
Hot
that
take.
one.
Dude,
I love that one.
I thought
Nah,
that
the
was just.
Valley of Defilement was the worst.
I could not handle all of the stingrays constantly throwing at you. Let me pause the video here for a sec. Constantly throwing at you, and then dealing with all the other enemies as well at the same time. I didn't even care about the boss as much. The boss wasn't that bad. We got through the boss in a couple tries. It was the lead up to that boss, the insane distance you had to travel, and all those stingrays. I was just like, this is really ruining this for me. And it just kind of made it apparent how much they've grown since Demon Souls, in my opinion, from Software. Because the world design, the Archstone design, like the if you want to say bonfire, whatever, all of that is so much improved now. And we're going to talk about it actually during How You Reviewing with a From Software game. I love how they've taken that formula and evolved it to wide linear and the way areas open up like Bloodborne with all the shortcuts. This game barely has shortcuts. It was just constant, like, okay, go back to the start and travel all the way there. Like, what made the other games work was finding those shortcuts, unlocking them, so that if you did have to start from scratch again at the very beginning, you're like, oh, I unlocked this shortcut. Nice, I can go this way instead. Like, that's what made it palatable.
The pinnacle of that was Bloodborne, when you, like, because you realized progression was making your travel easier.
Right. So it really fell apart more and more for me when those issues really propped themselves up with dying. If you started getting into an area where you died a lot, now granted, like you could say get good and all this kind of stuff, but I was actually doing really well with the game for a while, and I was taking out the bosses in the first, second, third try. And even if I was dying, it wasn't frustrating for the first 3 Archstones because some of them did have shortcuts, and it was okay. That fourth Archstone, man, they just ruined it for me. They really ruined it for me with that one, and I don't think I'm going to play it now after that. You see, even in the chat, they're like, "We're not enjoying watching you play this at this point. It's just too frustrating." So we're going to move on to something a little bit lighter and more airy on the next stream, next time around. Why are you shaking your head at me, Mike?
Quitter.
I will. Yeah, I quit. I will say, like, I already have been playing it off stream a little bit, and I think I will do that. I'll go back to it a little bit off stream, but I don't want to play that on stream anymore. I don't think it's just not what I want to do. I would rather move on to something a little bit happier. Vince, what have you been playing, man?
For me, I guess we're skipping Mike, but that's okay. I'll skip over Mike. It's fine.
Oh, we'll go back to Mike then.
No, that's fine. I take care of this. What I've been playing was Destiny 2 Beyond Light, the newest expansion pack for Destiny 2, and it's been a fantastic experience. I know I said this last year at this time, but everyone kind of knew I was kind of getting back into the into Destiny again. It was like last year, like my whatever we called it, like alternative game of the year title. And I thought they were in a good spot, right? And then January happened and they completely crapped the bed on with all the community changes. So it was like, oh well, I'm out of Destiny now. But the expansion pack for Beyond Light, I mean, Mike unfortunately has to deal with my private messages of me literally flipping out on like all these things that I can't tell him because I can't spoil the game for him. But I'm like, oh my God, this character. Oh my God, this character. And the music of Beyond Light is the absolute best they have ever done. Holy crap. It is such a phenomenal experience all the way through. And
that's cool.
We've been enjoying it again. I think chat has been kind of just enjoying just watching it. And it's been good to get back on the rails, and the new PS5 update. Oh, so good. So
very
good.
Nice. Yeah. There's another game that you went back to as well.
I went back to, it was all about going back. And this was crazy. I went back to Final Fantasy 15. I played the Royal Edition of the game.
We have to go back.
And let me tell you, I think my playthrough of that with all the DLCs and everything like that, I think that has cemented in the top 3 Final Fantasies for me.
There it is.
It is. I think honestly for me, there's still a lot of the production issues you can feel. But with the Royal Edition, with a lot of the things that you see them add on, with a little bit of the changes, a little bit of the additional scenes they add into, like they have like more of like Kingsglaive, they have more integrated into the story now, so they're kind of explaining like the timeline of what's going on.
So I don't have to go and watch Kingsglaive now.
You kind of do, but you don't.
You still should.
You do.
It's more of showing off like, all right, so like while you're doing this with Noctis, this is what's happened, And there's still that issue to where like they really should have changed what happened there, but they really can't. But when you get past to Altissa and everything like that, and you start getting into that whole concept, especially when you start getting into the Empire, all the extension stuff is fantastic. The two DLCs, first off, for Gladio and Prompto, I'm going to try to get through this really quick. They're okay. Gladio, I think, is a little bit stronger than Prompto. Prompto is the weakest out of all the other ones there.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
episode Ignis, holy freaking crap. Like, I loved episode Ignis's just DLC in general. There's this really cool, like, alternate story you can go with it too at one point, which really just kind of throws a whole bunch of things there. But then episode Arden is also really good. It's just short. They're all short, which is very unfortunate. But I don't know, like just all the extension there, everything that's happened in there. Yeah, it's definitely one of my top 3 Final Fantasies for me.
I'm gonna have to go back to it someday. I think I did play it a little bit on PS5 recently just to see the update for it, and it doesn't look as good as I remembered it looking. But that's gonna happen. When you go back to a game after 5 years. And I thought, for some reason, like certain aspects of it looked better than 7 Remake, but once I went back into it, I was like, nope, never mind. 7 Remake looks much better in this game.
It's the lighting in this. The lighting of the game is the strongest point of it. If you look at texture work, nah.
Oh, no,
That's the benefit of Unreal Engine. You're able to do that. But the big thing about the Luminous production engine was its lighting. That was the big, huge, like, this is what we're doing with it. And same thing with like hair and cloth. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Oh, but the one thing I will say, Drew, when you do get back to it, going back and playing Insomnia at the end, they expanded everything, dude. It is a proper final arc. It is amazing.
Maybe I'll do it at some point. I don't know when it would be because it's a long game, but I'll keep it in mind. Mike, let's go back to you. Sorry I skipped over you there.
No, it's okay. Screw me.
Screw me, right? What you got for us?
So I had a very short time on the PS5, but in that time I actually had grabbed Immortals Phoenix Rising for the Switch just to kind of hold me over. And it was one of those things where I had no desire for it really before. And then it started creeping up, and then I saw a couple people stream it. And it kind of really, it spoke to me. It looked like, what I wanted. It was, kind of that Zelda-y vibe visually in a way, but with Greek mythology, which right away already grabs my attention, and a lot more combat and depth to it in that aspect. And I was like, all right, this is looking really great, and I got it. And I definitely enjoyed my time with it, but parts of it do feel slow. And looking at the reviews and everything we'll go into in a minute, I think it actually has the perfect review score because there's nothing inherently bad about it, and everything that works really well. But it's not anything to really write home about. And it's a very good, what I want? I want something like Zelda, but it's not Zelda, that has a little bit more to it than that. The powers are fun. The way that they have you exploring and, kind of filling up the map is interesting and different. But the more I look at other games that I can and want to play, I don't really feel myself yearning to come back to it right away. But it's a good title to have on my Switch because I can grab and go at any point.
I've seen it on some Game of the Year list actually, which kind of blew my mind because it didn't review that well. So I was surprised to see some people liked it that much.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know honestly, how it could. I mean, the one of the people I watched I watched stream was super into it, but he also often has very obscure picks for his some of his top games. So I don't know. I don't see it being anywhere close to a top of the year. Definitely a fun, goofy game, and it's definitely what I really appreciate about it is that it's a Ubisoft title that realizes how stupid some of the things Ubisoft does is. Like you'll play for a while and a little bit of spoilery, but not really. You'll be playing for a bit, and they go through all these things, and it has some jokes and goofiness to it. And you're doing all these things, and then out of nowhere, I was probably playing for a good half hour, and the title screen goes, and the one person's like, "Wait, this is the intro? How long does it take you to get to the intro, to get past the intro of the game to the title screen or something like that?" Kind of commenting on all Ubisoft games, how it takes you like 4 hours.
They broke the fourth wall. Is that what you're saying? Like in the game, they said this, or
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
They said it in the game, yeah. So they kind of break the fourth wall a little bit. So it's cool that they recognize that. But one game that they were making fun of in that aspect is Assassin's Creed, and I did get to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But I started on PC and then started playing on a PS5, and it was one of those things where that game is just Assassin's Creed is almost comfort food, even in its current state with its RPG, kind of tone and vibe to it. But it was one of those things where I was like, I don't know how much I'm looking forward. There are certain aspects I love, and I don't know how much I'm going to want the snowy aspect of it, all the time. Suffice to say, that's not the case, and it's really, really grabbing me in. The combat has actually been improved over Odyssey, which is really nice. You even have the ability to dual wield or choose, and choose what kind. So lately, my dual wielding is my axe in one hand, and I can't remember what the weapon's called. What's the one where it has like a handle and then a chain and then like a spiked ball at the end?
Morningstar.
Morningstar, thank you. Morningstar on the other hand. So that's usually my go-to. And it really stresses how important paying attention to combat is. Almost, for certain enemies, almost in a, Dark Souls-esque way, where you have to kind of plan your attack and go in, especially bosses or certain bigger enemy types. So you have to dodge certain attacks that you won't be able to parry, and some enemies make you parry them to attack them, completely. The locale is great. Just like with Odyssey, you really want to explore that first area because it will push you to a new area after that, and it really starts to open up. And the town building is something in any game that I will gladly soak up in any aspect. I love town building, and the way they do it is really cool. And I'm still relatively early on. It's Assassin's Creed, so it's going to be like a 50-hour game. Yeah. But it's definitely hitting the notes. And anybody who has even a fleeting interest in Assassin's Creed, I would definitely recommend trying it out. Both those titles, and if you have PC,
another one that was on some top Game of the Year lists.
And I can believe that. I can see it, honestly. I really can. I mean, this year had some phenomenal titles in it, but it's actually, I can already see it being up there. They got rid of a lot of the fluff. There's very minimal modern day stuff that's just not needed. And when it's there, it definitely starts to, it is there a little bit, and I'm just like, oh my God, let me just get through this to get back in there. But they're also kind of combining everything together and expediting all the BS so you can get back to the fun part of the game.
Tom, let's move on to you since we're running out of time here. Tom, you played Bug Snacks as well.
Talk
about Bug Snacks.
Well, in case you guys don't know, they're kind of bug and they're kind of snack. You try to catch them in your trap. You feed somebody and then you'll see. We are whatever we eat. Tearing up a ketchup patch, come to Snacktooth Island.
Oh my God, he's doing it.
And you will discover, my friends, that it's Bug Snacks. This is the game. This is the game of the generation.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you guys understand.
Here we go.
This is the game of the launch, at the very least for me. It's so charming. It's such a fun little diversion of a game where it takes away like everything that you expected from like everything else, where you don't have you're not killing a bunch of guys all over the place. There's no gritty story. There is a bit of a left turn that this game takes at some point.
A left turn? Really?
Oh God! Don't spoil it. I do want to get around to this someday.
I'm not spoiling anything, but certain things do happen in this game. Stuff happens in this game. It is so good. I am
should be on the back of the box.
Like everybody else on Twitter, I'm going to be saying bunger, 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 like rolling through my head for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh.
If anybody played Pokemon Snap, if you played like any of those other type of games where it's, this is very much not that, but it's kind of like a mix between Pokemon and and Pokemon Snap, and it just being like a fun little thing where like all the characters are very well written. The thing I was really impressed with, honestly, is the LGBT representation.
Thank you.
In this game.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Because it's like so like they don't step on it and like shove it in your face. No. It's like these are gay characters. This one prefers these pronouns. Like no, it was just like it was all matter of fact. It's like no, these characters live in a society where just all of these people are just who they are, and nobody acts like a dick about it. Aside from the one guy who just believes in super capitalism. But other than that, like everybody else is pretty much with each other.
Yeah.
It's
a great voice cast.
At first you had my curiosity, but now you have
the voice cast is fantastic. Yuri Lowenthal's in this. A couple of other great voice actors. I'm not gonna spend too much more time on this. I'm just gonna say, guys, it was for free. Hopefully you picked it up. If not, it's still available on PC. It's available on PC as well. Pick up Bug Snacks. It's a fun little game. You're gonna enjoy it. And I mean, I got King Kirk to play it. I just got the platinum minutes before the show went on.
Nice.
So
here's the thing. I was very much considering it being my light airy game, but man, that game is dead on Twitch. Like absolutely dead.
It is dead on Twitch. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Unfortunately, I would have done it if it wasn't
able
so
to
dead.
really draw too many people to come and watch Bug Snacks who weren't already following me.
Yeah, that's
which is a shame because this game should have more of a following because it's such a fun, really like positive game. I love it, and you guys, I'm sure, will love it too.
Okay. I think everybody's heard enough of our opinions. Vince, let's hear from somebody else.
All right. So we're going to do how you reviewing, and we're going to do some review roundups right now. And let's start off with two smaller titles to get to the more meaty third title. But we talked about it earlier, Immortals Phoenix Rising. Currently, as of right now, I double-checked right before the show, is sitting at a 79 average on OpenCritic with 137 critic reviews. Mike, you seem to pretty much paint the whole thing that that's pretty agreeable. Mm-hmm. I think it's agreeable from what I heard from you. And moving on to another game that I don't think any one of us has played yet, was Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. That has an 80 average on OpenCritic with 91 so far. I've
heard interesting things about this game. I keep hearing it compared actually to 7 Remake in that it sort of changes the history, the lore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So some people are a little bit upset about that.
Of what, Breath of the Wild that changes the lore?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, some of it even as simple as going from a cool amount of clout and mystery to now let me just slap you in the face of with all of this, as well as some of the other stuff. They almost try to course correct in a way, or add some extra that doesn't really need to be there.
I think some people feel like they were duped in the same way 7 Remake isn't like a true remake. It's almost like a sequel in some ways. Whereas this one, I think people were promised a prequel that actually like dealt with the history of Hyrule in regards to Breath of the Wild, but it actually does some like time travel shenanigans and alternate reality shenanigans where it's like, oh, they were lying. This actually isn't connected at all. It's its own thing that means nothing, is what I heard.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong on that. I didn't read up too much on it, but that was the one thing I got. But, I can't really comment on the score, but solid score, at least. Not bad.
I mean, I think it's a solid score, especially for the type of game, I would assume. That whole, Destiny Dynasty Warriors thing. But moving on to the big one, Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this game debuted, if you want to call it that way, with a 92 average on OpenCritic. Few reviews. I didn't get to really grab the amount of reviews at the time. But then I remember checking it at the start of this week, and that was at an 86. Starting today, checking literally 30 minutes before the show, it is now sitting at a 78 average on OpenCritic with 107 critic reviews. Not only that, it is also the very first time OpenCritic has ever put a statement onto a game. And this is the disclaimer, guys. This is what is literally on, if you search Cyberpunk 2077, this is what it says on the OpenCritic website. It says, please note, this game has significant disparities in performance, player experience, and review scores between the PC, next-gen consoles, Xbox One, and PS4 versions. The OpenCritic team and several critics suspect the developer, CD Projekt Red, intentionally sought to hide the true state of the game on Xbox One and PS4, with requirements such as only allowing pre-rendered game footage reviews and not issuing review copies for the PS4 and Xbox One versions. This notice will be taken down in February 2021.
And is that because of the patches? Why February?
That would be because that's the promise. That's the promise that they're going to have a major patch in January and then a major patch in February. The January patch is apparently the one that's going to fix everything. And then the February patch will be the comprehensive, we're going to add most of the stuff that was not working back in.
Emphasis
So
on
here's
that.
one thing I want
So
to add on to that real quick. Hold on a sec.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add on to that statement that I saw on Resetera from somebody that works at OpenCritic. They said they were actually disappointed that they couldn't go harsher than this in their wording.
Really?
And they said the reason for that is that they believe they also not only just sent out PC codes, they sent out PC codes only to people that had like a 3080 or like a 3090. They actually made sure that only people that had the highest rig available could get the PC codes.
And this is why certain people, this has actually been talked about even before I saw that thread, because it was very weird how selective they were. Because some of the people that got review copies were kind of almost lesser knowns, people that other people don't really know very well, whereas more credible people didn't get any, and they're known for not only being big in the industry, but loving games like The Witcher, or really kind of singing the praises of CD Projekt Red, and they weren't sure why they didn't get it, and it was kind of found out that it was more likely the people that really advertised their higher end PC specs were the ones that got it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It really is. There's really never been something this egregious with such a major game. This kind of stuff happens to a certain extent. There's a lot of like review embargo stuff that goes behind the scenes. I do like when a kind of funny talks about it, because they used to be in that part of it. They used to work at IGN, so they'll talk about this kind of stuff occasionally. But it's never been this egregious, and it's never been for a game that literally has been clamored for almost a decade. Like, this is really one of the most hyped games of all time at this point prior to release. For it to have this type of debacle surrounding it, we're going to talk about it, of course, a lot more later on during Level Update. But holy crap. And one thing I do want to clarify when it comes to OpenCritic, they combine all of the different platforms, whereas Metacritic has individual scores for each platform. So that is why they dropped so heavily, because they started incorporating those PS4 reviews, those Xbox One reviews, which are falling as low as 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10. So once they started merging those, base console reviews in to an overall score, it's been dropping tremendously. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it drops a lot further on OpenCritic.
And one of the things, too, I want to bring up as well, and this is something that really bothered me the day reviews started dropping and everything. Really look at, and I really don't like quantifying and saying who to believe and who's credible and who's not, because it's all subjective, and there are definitely people that we don't know that are more respected and known in the industry and not. But really look at who is reviewing, especially the PC version, or at the very least, who is giving the game hundreds and 90s. One thing that really bothered me was how many people were doing this, but then seeing who it was that was doing this, and then looking more into these reviewers, or the sites that they quote unquote review for, and it really bothered me how many of those were able to slip through the cracks, I will say, because this game definitely is clearly showing it does not deserve that score, no matter what system you play on. Even if you have the best PC to run it, there are definitely many holes.
This is one of those events that's going to change the way that reviewers handle these situations, because knowing now how screwed over they could become from the promises of one of these studios, because that was the thing. A lot of times these reviewers, they're told, oh, don't worry, the day one patch is going to fix all these things.
Yep.
Which I'm sure in this case was like, really? This is a lot to fix. But like, it's CD Projekt Red, right? Like, should they just say, no, we don't believe you, and then lower the score? Or should they put a disclaimer in the review saying, like, this had a lot of issues, but we were promised that day one patch was going to fix them? Those are the kind of things I'm sure internally is being discussed at GameSpot, IGN, Giant Bomb, whatever. Everywhere is probably discussing, like, what do we do moving forward to make sure that we stay ahead of a situation like this when it happens.
You don't do day one reviews anymore, period.
Maybe.
That's what you have to do.
Or you read the signs, right? Where a game like this that is absolutely massive, only releasing PC codes just 5 to 7 days before release, that is not normal. That is very unusual.
Guys, I called this last year. I called this last year. I even said it. I remember talking with you and Dean at the time, Drew. It was like, these console versions are not going to be good. Because we were seeing that already when they were doing all the pre-release stuff.
Did you think it would be this bad though?
Yes, I actually
You did?
honestly thought this was
Yeah.
going to be this bad.
Mhm.
I literally thought this is exactly what I envisioned what was going to happen. I was
Yeah.
hoping it wasn't going to happen, but this is exactly what I expected, and everything that's played out has pretty much been what I thought.
Okay. We're going to
For
talk
the
about it a
console
lot
version.
more during the
A lot
level
more.
update, but right now we do have another segment here. Doran, how you reviewing? Go ahead, Vince.
We do. It's our critical cut. It's a segment that, for people on Discord, you guys suggest games for us to review as a group together. And we break up this review into presentation, gameplay, and impact. And the game that we are going to critically cut today is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Or a lot more than that.
Or a lot more like that, yeah.
Like hundreds of times.
Shadows die way more than twice.
Yes.
Yeah, way more twice. Way more.
So
than
starting with
twice.
presentation, I did. First of all, how many of us have played this?
I have.
Me, Tom,
Tom,
Mike.
I have not.
Nope.
Okay, me and you, Vince.
Okay.
Let's do this.
All right. Let's do
So
this.
presentation, I love the samurai fantasy atmosphere of this game. The
Me too.
cinematography in this is some of the best ever in a video game. They really improved. You can see from game to game to game. They were always pretty solid, right? In cinematography,
Yeah.
the angles and all that. But holy shit, some of the samurai like angles that they get here with the flowers and the petals and the moonlight, like, oh man, like this game looks beautiful. It's really stunning. It's not like a technical showpiece, don't get me wrong, but the artistic direction, the cinematography really rises it up in the ranks
Yeah.
for me.
And I mean, no, I agree with you. And this is actually honestly From's best cinematic game from a
Mhm.
standpoint. I mean, think about it. We talked about it. Demon Souls was like kind of that initial thing that everyone saw us, right? And then we went to the Dark Souls series. We went to Bloodborne. Sekiro has just got this really fantastic presentation, 100% from the start to all the way to the finish. There is not a low point in this game's presentation aspect.
And it
the
also has a more
locale-
straightforward story, right? Which is kind of
Yes,
nice.
which makes it a lot more fun. I know people like to dig through the lore of the other games, but what's really nice about this
Read
is
every
kind of,
item description.
right.
Mhm.
You still get that with this, but at the same time, having this really decent. I mean, all the From games have a really good voice direction, right? But this game has a really great voice direction and a simple enough story that's like a revenge story, but it just works so well together, and it's that cohesiveness that like lets the game have this foundation for the gameplay, and they just intermix with each other, you know?
And characters that I cared about this time.
Right?
I love Bloodborne. It's fantastic. We're going to talk about it during the games of the generation. But I know you like the story a lot in that one, Vince. I just couldn't because it was just so much hidden in the lore that I kind of wanted
Right.
something more straightforward. Sekiro delivered on that. But moving on, let's talk about that gameplay, Vince.
Oh my gosh, the gameplay? You mean the one game that I even said to you in the private message? This game ruined most action games for me. This is actually the reason why like Star Wars Fallen Order I didn't like Fallen Order, because after playing this game and playing that game so many months later, it was like Sekiro did this so much better. Why would I
Right.
want to go back and regress? I mean, and it's a crazy thing. If you ever want to watch something really cool, look up slow motion hitboxes for this game. It is insane the precision that From Software did with the animations and the hitboxes. This game does not really cheat very much for like how an enemy like swipes at you and whatnot, like the Dark Souls.
That is such
games
an important
kind
thing
of
to
do.
say. That is such an
Yeah.
important thing to say. Because first off, Jedi Fallen Order, that was my complaint. I like Jedi Fallen Order, don't get me wrong, but the hitboxes in comparison to this game, you felt those moments when you were cheated. You're like, that was not right. That should have landed. Something was off there.
Right.
And when you die from a moment like that in a game where you have to travel so far to get back to where you were, or you lose your souls or whatever, not having the hitbox land correctly is really detrimental to the experience. Sekiro is so accurate that even when I died 100, 200 times to Genichiro in that final battle,
Right.
I kept going. I kept going because it was my fault. I knew that was my fault. I got it wrong. I need to improve because the game is not screwing me here. Like I'm
Right.
screwing myself. And that is when a From Software game really connects. Something that Demon Souls isn't quite doing for me because I feel like they've grown from that. Sekiro, Bloodborne, they 99% of the time get it right. And that's why it's challenging, but not frustrating.
Right. No, I agree with you. And that's Sekiro is the only other From game I have fully finished. I think that states a lot, to be honest. Like I finished the original Demon Souls, quit the remake because, I just can't handle it. I didn't finish Bloodborne. I like the story of Bloodborne. I didn't finish Bloodborne. I finished this game because of that very reason. Everything was like, you have a boss fight, you learn the mechanics like you would for a Dark Souls game, but that blocking mechanic, everything just came together.
Yep.
Wait, are you telling me that you didn't finish Metal Wolf Chaos?
I didn't finish Metal Wolf Chaos.
The greatest From Software game?
So we've been talking a lot about how From Software has grown and evolved, right? And we've got Elden Ring on the horizon. What is the impact that Sekiro, I honestly don't know how it says. What is the impact that that game now makes on Elden Ring and all the From Software games to follow?
I mean, I would hope and I would think that Elden Ring will keep that action or at least that hitbox precision design going forward. Like I said, I think it's ruined a lot of other games like that design for me. I don't care to play those types of games if it's not going to have that precise hitbox animation.
Do you think that they go back to the stat system of the older games? Because Sekiro, that was one of the big differences, right? Where
there's no
you can't
RPG.
really grind. You can't grind your way to victory in Sekiro like you could in the other ones. This one is like you just need to get better. You need to get good, right? That was kind of the whole thing with Sekiro.
The biggest thing, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you here. The biggest thing that's got me interested about Elden Ring is I think that it's going to have a much more Mega Man-like approach to it, to where you're going to go to a kingdom and you're going to learn how to, kill that king or that corrupted whatever. I'm sorry if I'm not giving the correct, terminology for the lore of the thing, but I think that's how you're going to get your abilities there. But I think there's going to be a straight-up simplistic, this is how you fight type mechanic. Now, I think there's going to be some more variety, considering the difference of they're gonna probably have great swords, not just a katana. I think this shinobi prosthetic will make it that entire mechanic will come back in its own way, kind of like the blunderbuss from the hunters from Bloodborne. I just think that Sekiro really helps cement all the experiences and all the ideas that From Software has had, and they have this foundation that they can constantly expand upon now. Does that make more sense? I hope that does.
That 100% makes sense. But the one thing I am a little nervous about, I will admit, with Elden Ring, is them going fully open world. I love Sekiro. I love Bloodborne for that wide linear sort of approach. I don't know if you would call it that. It's just like it's this organic opening, right? Where the map just organically opens up. And it is open, but it's not open to you from the start, this fully open world. I'm just a little nervous on them going in that direction. It has ruined series in the past, in my opinion, where they go after the fad of open world, and I hope that doesn't happen with Elden Ring. Some people in the chat even saying, this will be the next Cyberpunk 2077. I pray not. Of course, they've got George R. R. Martin attached to this as well, bringing his expertise in building worlds and lore.
So it's going to be delayed 10 more years?
Maybe. We thought it would be at the Game Awards. It wasn't. But we do have to give our medal. I'm going to start here, Vince. I think I'm tempted to go Diamond. I don't think I can do it. It was my game of the year 2019, I want to say. It was.
Right.
But
it was. We agreed.
I think still I'm not quite willing to go Diamond status.
That's
fine. I'm still going to go. I'm going to go with the Platinum here.
That's fine. I can understand that. You're still recognizing it's an upper echelon game.
Yeah.
It's one of those one-of-a-kind games, and that's the reason why, for me, spoiler alert, I kind of think Drew kind of led into it. For me, this game would get a Diamond. For me, this would be a Diamond.
Really? Tell me why. Diamond means one of the greats, right? Like a masterpiece, honestly, and something that changes gaming.
It's
really is what it kind of innovative.
For me. Yeah, it's innovative, and that's why I say it for me. And again, this all comes down to how I view it. This isn't this overall blanket statement here. But the thing is, I think I've alluded to it multiple times. This game has ruined other kind of character action games of a similar type. We talked about it. Fallen Order for me is not a fun game for its combat because Sekiro is that much better. Even if there's a difference, so you can sit there and argue schematics and everything like that. It's still, when it comes down to the end of the day, Fallen Order does not feel good in comparison to Sekiro. I can put Sekiro on my PC and my PlayStation, and there's still that feeling of this game being that magical. There's that amazing hitbox. There's the amazing animations. And the combat never gets too deep. It's simplistic. You have the tools you need to succeed. There's no, you need to grind to level 300 to make sure you do this, or you have this stat to do this. Nah, it's just simply kind of like a whole get good situation. And that's what makes it much more it's simplistic. It's pulled back. It's presented for what it is. And I mean, that's the same thing too. The final boss I streamed took me 2.5 hours.
Yep, same here, dude.
Same for Drew.
Yeah, 2.5 hours, and I did not give up. Even I wanted to give up.
I had to go into another stream, actually. I had to stop and say, okay, we're going to have to go to the next one.
I didn't give up. I mean, there was some times where he'd kill me in 5 minutes, and I'd just be like, that was a bad run. Let's go again. Let's go again. And that's the thing.
Sometimes you'd have to leave and grind and get some of the recovery items and then come back again because you lost so many.
I just kept going. I just kept going. I got down to the point to where I only had 3. That was it. It became a war
Why even
of
bother
attrition
with 3?
Because that's how I got good. I can get him down to the 3rd phase without taking a single hit from him. That's why I'm saying. That's why that game is so amazing. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, just
we do have to move on, but to the other members of the panel here, Mike, I know this isn't your type of game, but Tom, you love Bloodborne. I really recommend you play Sekiro, man.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've wanted to play. It just hasn't worked out with some of the other games that I was really hyped up to play. Sekiro's definitely, whenever I get like a lull, like that's a game I'm definitely planning on looking at.
Good.
I will definitely want to hear your opinions about that, Tom, when you finish it, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But wrapping up this segment here, guys, don't forget, as always, get on our Discord. That's how you take part in this segment. Discord.gg/levelupnetwork. # how you review and channel. Shout out to Farsendor this month for being the one to submit Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Be like him. Submit as many as you want, guys. Just keep submitting them. We're going to, pick and choose ones that we think will bring some good discussion on the show, especially if more than 2 of us play it. Hopefully next month we can get one that all 4 of us have played.
Let's hope.
And how you're reviewing. That's the goal. But right now, actually, let me put a poll in the chat. I'll let you guys vote on this as we go to our short commercial break. What would you guys in the chat, what would you rate Sekiro Shadows Die Twice out of 10? Let us know, please. And we're going to go to a short commercial break, do our wheel spins because we have so many to do. It's unbelievable how much support we just got. When we come back, we are getting into the level update. And man, there is some big stuff to discuss. We're going to go further into Cyberpunk 2077. We're also going to talk about the Game Awards and all the premieres and announcements and just our overall feelings on how it was this year, how Jeff Keighley and crew did on the Game Awards. So hold on tight. Let's go with the 9 Fox. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Welcome back to Season 0, Episode 2 of Next Level Gamescast, the Level Up Network's monthly gaming talk show, live on Twitch at twitch.tv/levelupshow on the 3rd Sunday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode. Hit that heart button and turn on notifications so you get alerts whenever we go live with either variety gaming or talk shows. If you're watching or listening to an archive, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And of course, become a part of the community even when we are not live on Discord at discord.gg/the Level Up Network. We're now going to move on to our discussion of the month's biggest gaming industry news. It is time for the Level Updates.
I'm excited.
How dare you? How very dare you? First up, Jeff Keighley announced on Twitter that viewership was up 83% this year. 83 million live streams of the Game Awards. Let's put this in perspective here. There was 1.9 million live streams back in 2014. 1.9 in 2014 versus 83 million in 2020. That is unbelievable growth. They had over 8.3 million peak concurrent viewers, 2.63 million peak concurrent viewers on Twitch, double last year. Watch time up over 129% across Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Gaming, and over 9,000 co-streamers on Twitch, myself and Vince included. I will admit, I think this year was a little bit of a down year as far as like overall like megaton announcements go, but I thought it was like a really well paced with like a lot of good announcements peppered through, right?
I think he's hitting his stride.
Yeah. Did you guys overall like the vibe this year?
Yeah.
This was the first time I watched it in reality. And I was like, okay, no, because I mean, I always heard that. I always heard like the show is too long or it's paced too weird or like, oh, this is so boring. And I was like, oh, this is actually moving pretty quick. I kind of like this.
Yeah, it was very quickly paced.
I could have done without the Game Awards for years has always been the fact that Jeff didn't seem to know what kind of show that he wanted to do. He didn't know if it wanted to be a variety hour. He didn't know if we wanted to be an award show or become just like a basic thing of E3. And I think now he's finally found the sweet spot of what it is. And what it is it's an E3 game announcement, is what it is,
Partially,
featuring awards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
which
I think that's
which
what
works
it is,
perfectly. That's how you get people there, because they're going to be hyped for what's next, not necessarily for what has already come.
Right.
Right, like I agree. I think he was definitely trying to hit that, typical the Grammys, the Oscars type, vibe, but including some, different video game-esque elements that you don't get in other industries. But I agree. I think he had to finally, figure out what he wanted it to be. I think I could have done with less Whooper watches. And
or the Instagram filters and all that,
and less team Ellie, team Abby stuff.
That
But
will be coming up later in the show.
yeah, but I mean, overall, I think it was really good. Sans a drunk rant about the Oscars. I think it was one of the best years he's had.
Definitely. I agree. It was a solid year, and I do like that it went by in 3 hours as opposed to 4.5 hours. Let's talk about the awards real quick. Last of Us Part 2 sweeped almost. It had 10 nominations. It won 7 of them. Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, Best Audio Design, Best Action Adventure, Best Performance for Laura Bailey, and Innovation and Accessibility. Was it deserved?
Not if you ask true gamers.
Yeah.
I think Tom might say not. Vince and I are going to say yes.
Well, I think so for sure. But at the same time, this is a thing that I kind of also slightly agree with Tom in a way from what I've heard from what Tom has explained. The hard part right now is we're in this really volatile industry state. And what sucks here is that Last of Us is kind of like this. The game dealt with so much hate, like Mike said, from all these true gamers, that like you kind of almost want it to win because the other game
As
that
like a
wasn't
shut the
there.
hell up.
Right. It's the hard thing, but at the same time, it's like, does that take away from actually like should it have won those certain things? There's a lot of things I think it definitely should have
Versus, say,
won.
a game like Hades.
But see, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing. I have other thoughts on that too, but
Right.
I think for sure out of all of those 7, yes, I think it definitely needs to win a lot of those. The game direction one is definitely one that you could probably have a good discussion about,
Right.
if it really deserved it or not, And it's hard because at the same time, that game direction, when the game was releasing, also dealt with so much backlash in a way that it was like you kind of almost needed it to win to kind of refute all that type of stuff. It sucks. It's a really bad spot to be in, I think.
Yeah, Tom, do you really quickly want to say like your feelings on the best game direction category and why The Last of Us Part 2 in your mind shouldn't have won that?
Well, look, this was all going to be partially what I was going to bring up later in the show. So I don't know if I want to necessarily say it here. Maybe I'll say it here. That way,
Preview.
I'll preview it. Look, at the end of the day, I know that certain people, even on this panel, will disagree with what direction we'll say. And I think on the Game Awards website, the direction category is specifically listed as creative design, as well as directing the game, generally speaking. So if Druckmann himself was just the director, I could understand those points. The problem is that Druckmann is also the vice president of Naughty Dog. So he is personally able to affect how that game was made. And yet he didn't do anything about that. So I think that of anybody there, he has a direct control of how that game is made from start to finish. And the fact that he needed to go to the extent of having to go into crunch that was described by some workers as being soul-crushing, then yeah, I have a problem with giving that guy the direction award, because then it's essentially you're just rewarding somebody for doing something that we all, I think, universally agree is a blight on the industry.
Right. No, I don't disagree with that. I think it's a little bit more nuanced, and maybe we can talk about it later. But just to round out some other big awards that happened, Ghost of Tsushima got Best Art Direction. Hades got Best Action. A lot of people really enjoyed Hades, of course. And Among Us, even though it did not come out this year, won both both of Best Mobile and Best Indie. So
Believe
those
it
are
or
some
not,
really
as much
nice
as I
awards,
love
though.
them and I love how humbled they were, I don't love it just for the sheer fact of any other year, and the same issue we've always had is it didn't come out this year. And I would just really don't know how I feel about that, because on one hand, it's actually more deserved than most of the others in that category. But at the same time, again, it didn't come out this year. Nobody heard of it, and I get that, and it sucks to be an indie game in that aspect. But like, I don't know, man. What are we gonna do? Go back and be like, it was really good that I love Spelunky. Let's give that an award next year.
Yeah,
It's a little
Here's
bizarre.
I am
here's
all
one
for
thing.
giving Spelunky some.
I want to flip this back on to you then, there, because then that's the problem I have kind of with Hades being here. Hades released in early access in 2018.
Early access was the disclaimer, and that's always the difference. Is that if it was early access, no, I listen. This is my personal justification, and this is, I think, where they will go in with all of it. Early access does change a lot in terms of what it is. Plus, don't forget, it was Epic Game Store exclusive. Then it became available on every platform. And it was actually changed by that point. So I do get what you're saying.
2018 on Steam early access.
No, it was Epic Game Store exclusive as a free game first, and then as a exclusive to Epic Game Store for almost the entire year.
Right in the fake fans.
But to that point, then let's just get rid of Among Us then, because Among Us shouldn't have been available for any award, because that was a mobile game back in 20.
That's what I'm
discussing.
saying. That was the point of what I was saying. Is like, I don't know how I feel about that, because honestly, like, I do feel that best mobile game, in my opinion, should have gone to Genshin Impact. As much as it's a gacha game and everything like that.
Yeah.
It definitely they did change what I think a lot of people will view as not only a mobile game but even a gacha game.
Turns out gamers really love their husbandos and their waifus.
They do.
Right.
Let's get into the premieres and announcements, because there were some big ones. We're actually going to treat this as each of us had brought three announcements, premieres from the Game Awards that we thought were worth discussing, even if like they're not coming out anytime soon, or maybe we're not that excited about it. Maybe we just thought, oh, this needs to be talked about, right? So I'm going to start off here. I don't even play Smash Brothers. You guys know this, but that Sephiroth reveal needs to be discussed, because holy crap, man!
Alone needs to be discussed.
What a great cutscene! What a great trailer! Because they're all great. Don't get me wrong, Super Smash Brothers, they do such a great job with getting people hyped up with their character reveals. But as a huge 7 Remake fan now, the way this was all directed, the way they poked fun with the references of Advent Children, like, shall I give Smash despair? I was
going to say, the reason why you love the direction of this trailer is the fact that your favorite movie is Advent Children Complete.
Well, that's not true at all. But let's be honest, the Advent Children movies aren't great. They're just great fan service. But I did really appreciate all the references, and the impalement of Mario, or at least what everybody thought was the impalement of Mario at that one moment, was one of the best moments I've ever seen in one of these like jokey trailers. And I've watched so many reactions now at this point of that moment, and they are all great. They're absolutely fantastic. And as I posted on Discord, this is like one of the best performing videos we've ever had on YouTube as far as like to dislike. I think that shows not just that we had a great reaction, but like everybody really appreciated this moment, and even if you weren't a Final Fantasy VII fan. But anyway, Mike, what is your first one you want to bring in here?
For my stories. So we're going to talk about Back 4 Blood, which we knew was coming, kind of officially, unofficially, talked about. But it's a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. And man, is it that game and then more. Back 4 Blood is a thrilling co-op first-person shooter from the creators of Left 4 Dead, which is why it was, so close to it. You're at the center of a war against the Ridden, which are what the zombies are called. These once human hosts of a deadly parasite have turned into terrifying creatures bent on devouring what remains of civilization. With humanity's extinction on the line, it's up to you and your friends to take off the fight to the enemy, eradicate the Ridden, and reclaim the world. It is 4-person, just like Left 4 Dead was. Has a story campaign. Will have competitive multiplayer, which is a weird new thing they're adding, as well as a roguelike mode, which is one of the ones I'm really excited for. Vince has played some of the alpha. I didn't get a chance to get into it. And I won't before the alpha is done, but I've seen a lot of gameplay, and this game is really hitting those marks 100%, and I am dying to jump in.
Vince, I'm very curious, real quick. What's your feelings,
guys? We have to play it all together at one point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. No, like seriously, guys. Really quick here. Thank you so much to Johnny Poolside because he's the one who did this for me last night for my last stream of the year. And guys, oh my God, even for an alpha, I'm extremely.
It's in
really
good shape.
It's in really good shape. I had so much fun with it. The roguelike mode is their card deck building. So the thing is about the thing about with Left 4 Dead is it would kind of randomly change its difficulty. That's what it was. So the game director
the game director system and all that.
The game director does the same thing here, but it plays corruption cards in each individual checkpoint break to make your game more difficult. But then every player has a card that they can put down into that can change everything. So for me, I found one of my cards was all your secondaries have unlimited ammo. So for me, I was sitting there just running around with just a single hand cannon because I was like, I don't need to have a primary. It's just that's what. But it was crazy. Then someone put team stamina, team ammo, team grenades. Everything just started going crazy, and it was crazy. The very first match I had so many zombies. The second match, not so much. It was really interesting. I'm really looking forward to it.
That's exciting. Continuing with Vince, what is the first announcement that you want to bring here?
I'm going to save the last one here. I'm going to go with the Crimson Desert.
Well, no, go in order just because I have the videos in order.
You have okay, fine, it's whatever. Disco Elysium, the final cut announced. See, he messed it up, guys. He messed it up for me. It's fine. It's fine, guys. No,
they're in order of how they were revealed during the show.
Oh, okay, I got you. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. I misread that.
Yeah, so Disco Elysium, you were the only one here that played that game.
Yes, I played the game. It was after the Game Awards last year. I was like, wait, why has this game got 4 awards? What did I miss? And I couldn't finish it on stream because it was a lot of reading. Mike and I talked about that really quickly at one point. But its music, its gameplay, its whole entire design
the story
is utterly fantastic. Yeah. Anyone who is interested in a visual novel-esque type deal with a very deep dice roll RPG mechanic with some extremely fantastic writing, play this game.
And not traditional turn-based RPG mechanics that you're thinking of. It is not, you're going to slash
it's skill
for,
checks.
5 points. It's
It's skill checks.
And a fun fact, before this year, Last of Us now has the record for most awards won at the Game Awards. Last year, Disco Elysium set the record with 4. Yep. So it was a very appreciated game. Even though a lot of people did not play it, it was a very appreciated game last year. Yeah. So everybody keep that in mind. Tom, what is your first announcement you want to bring here?
My first announcement is the announcement that The Initiative, one of the studios mentioned by Microsoft as joining their elite squad of first-party developers. I'm trying to think. I was about to make a political joke, but I'm not. But apparently they are making a new Perfect Dark. Joanna Dark is back.
What? You telling me the rumors for the last 2 years are true?
The rumors are true.
The rumors are true.
It looks so weird, though.
It's so weird that this is the game that they're working on, but also, Microsoft has the IP now, so why not?
Yeah, right. Yeah. They didn't do anything with it for a long time.
And look, I'd be completely interested. I'm very interested to see how they're going to do this. If it's going to be just a generic first-person shooter, or if it's going to try and play a little bit with how Rare did theirs. I don't know. It's so tough for me because I remember in thinking of Perfect Dark and just playing GoldenEye. And I look back and I'm like, do I really want to go back to playing it in jank controls? I never played Perfect Dark Zero, so don't even ask me about that.
I'm going to tell you right now, you do not.
Yeah,
you do not play it.
and your level beyond that is just going to be how invested are you in the Perfect Dark story, which I don't know too many people who are really oh, I wonder what Elvis and Joanna are up to right now.
Right, I'll be honest, this might as well be its own.
With the war between the aliens of the Greys and the Lizard Men.
This might as well be its own IP. From looking at what they showed for the trailers versus what has happened in Perfect Dark years ago and how old the franchise is and how little people have cared about it besides just wanting a good version of it, not what you got on the 360. So you might as well just go into this expecting a brand new game from a very good, talented studio using the name of an IP.
It's got Dust Bowl, Apocalypse, Interstellar vibes.
Yeah,
so what is going on here?
This is supposed to be a very eco-forward game story. Like they're trying to get really into climate change and the corporations and everything else like that. So, I mean, I'm interested to see where they go with it, but I'm not expecting anything deep and dark. I just want
They said it's very early. Let's not forget that either. Even though it feels like they've been working on it for years, it's very early.
Just because first-person shooters, like, there's not too much innovation going on with those these days. I'm very interested to see like where they actually decide to take this.
Yeah, definitely. It was just a CGI reveal trailer, so there's not a lot to talk about there. But
see you in 6 years.
Yeah, see you in at least a couple of years, right? Moving on to my second announcement, I want to talk about Open Roads. I took the indie route here, guys, with the next two. Open Roads was announced. It is described as a mother-daughter road trip adventure with a unique dialogue system. Deborah will play 16-year-old Tess Devine, while Russell's character will be named Opal. According to news release issued on Thursday, the narrative will discover what has been left behind in evocative places forgotten to time. When I say Russell and Deborah, that is because it is Kerry Russell and God, what's her name? She was
what's her face?
Cassie in Uncharted. And she's a great actress. I like her a lot. Caitlin Dever. There it is. Caitlin Dever will be playing the 16-year-old Tess Devine. So great cast right off the bat there. Really great cast. But what's most interesting to me is that this is like a mystery that you're uncovering, because this is done by Fulbright. Let me pause the video here. This is done by Fulbright, the same ones that did Gone Home and what was that one in space, guys? Somebody help me out here.
Among Us.
Tacoma. Among Us.
Among Us, yes.
Tacoma. So they have definitely a vibe, and Gone Home was one of my favorite indie games of this generation. I love that game, and knowing that this one is again sort of about like uncovering a mystery, sort of the way Gone Home was uncovering a mystery of like what happened to this girl, where did she go? I really like that. It's got like a family drama, so it kind of reminds me of What Remains of Edith Finch as well.
Yeah.
So Gone Home, Edith Finch, two of my favorite indie games of the entire generation, and now Fulbright is doing Open Roads with a great cast of characters. Yes, sign me up. I am there. Mike, your second announcement. What is it?
Big one. Dragon Age is announced. There's no 4. There's no subtitle. That's
well,
the story.
We knew Dragon Age, right? Because when did they actually show off Dragon Age for the first time?
When did they show it off?
Game Awards,
Last year, right? I thought so.
Yeah.
So in a whole year,
announcement.
all we've gotten is another CGI trailer that, I'll be completely honest, had a really strange vibe for me.
Right? It was very
Fable.
Yes, it was kind of Fable. I agree.
Yeah.
There was a
It's
weird
like
humor
a
to it.
tongue-in-cheek type
Yeah.
thing.
It's like, am I watching a
100%.
Shrek trailer here?
I'm right there with you. I watched this and I'm like, is this Fable? Like, are they really about to just give us a Fable trailer? Then all of a sudden the Dragon Age title card comes up and I'm like,
imagine if they combined the studios. Fable.
Dragon
Fable.
Dragon Fable, yes.
Or the Fable Age.
Fable Dragon.
Fable Age.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing here, and I jokingly, say a line and I'll stop, but like, there really isn't anything here. There was no title announced with it. It is just Dragon Age, almost like it's going to be slightly rebooted after Inquisition. There's no 4, which also kind of
new font style too.
New font style, but I will say right now, I don't think that studio knows what the hell they're doing. They don't have a leader, or at least one that we know of that we can trust in anymore. I don't think you should put your eggs in this basket at all. I think you're better off carrying them by hand to another franchise, and waiting to be shown something that you can believe in, because this is just a big giant puff of fart-smelling smoke.
Well, there you have it. Vince, what is your number 2?
This is another game we will be talking about from BioWare soon.
This was really weird because we had the Dragon Age announcement, and then we had this game come out. Crimson Desert is revealed. This is made by Pearl Abyss developers, who, if you don't know who that is the Black Desert Online developers. And this game had more dragons in its trailer than Dragon Age did.
A lot more dragons, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What a crazy trailer. What a crazy trailer. I mean, this
like
game
5.5 minutes long.
5.5 minutes long. They have a commented director's commentary trailer now on the website for this.
Really?
It's ridiculous.
I'm actually going to watch that because I'm really invested
in this.
And
they talked about it. They literally just go into their game design saying, like, yeah, we want to make sure we can do this. We want to do this with the combat. We want to have all these action sequences.
Have they set a tentative date yet?
Next year.
Next year, which
I do not believe.
No way. There's no way it's going to.
I don't know, man. They did Black Desert as almost like not early access, but they did it early to where it developed over time. So,
but what's crazy is that they actually just are now self-publishing now. So this company has had massive growth. They no longer are using Keiko Games as the distributor for Black Desert Online. They're going all in on this. So, I mean, look at this dragon. I'm a little bit delayed here, but the dragon combat, like, it's ridiculous.
Well, they're also getting really. They did really well when they went to mobile. Black Desert Online went on mobile devices, and it did really well overseas, in China, if I remember right. So I mean, I'm not surprised by this at all. I think they're making bank. I think they have the ability to do it, and I would not be surprised at all if it hits next year, because they're going to release it in a either good or decent state, and then they're just going to improve on it from there.
That's a possibility for sure. Tom, what is your number 2 announcement?
My number 2 announcement is the Callisto Protocol. I was about to say the Castillo. Different thing. Sebastian Castellanos. So Striking Distance. And if you don't know who Striking Distance is, they are made up of former members of Visceral, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Guys who made Dead Space. They are making the Callisto Protocol. The studio head, Glenn Schofield, as soon as I saw Glenn on stream, I just yelled, "It's Glenn!" He came onto the stream to say that the development team was aiming to make one of the scariest games ever. Now, you guys, I think I've pretty much established it at this point that I am an extremely big survival horror fan. Dead Space was one of my favorite games ever, both 1 and 2, and that is it. The only games that they made in the entire series.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
Those were fantastic experiences. And I watched this trailer, and I'm like, okay. I was like, what is this? I'm like, it's very much like kind of like The Thing.
Yeah.
Is it? And then all of a sudden, Glenn pops up, and I'm like, oh no, it's these guys are making a spiritual successor to Dead Space.
When you saw that thing on the back of his neck, that should have been the first hint, right? Yes. That they're going to have some type of UI that's built into the character design or the armor or something like that. But when I saw that, I was almost
they had in that entire series was the fact that the HUD was part of your character, and that you didn't have anything else like obstructing your vision or bothering you. Which, I mean, you saw then in Resident Evil 7, where they just completely removed the HUD for the most part, except for like very, very tiny things for you to see. So
when they showed that during the trailer, honestly, for me, it was like they might as well just call this Dead Space 4, because clearly they're making like Dead Space. It's just they're going to change the monsters
and I cannot be happy.
You know what's funnier about this whole project?
What's funny about that, Vince?
It's tied to PUBG.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an actual extension of like, what is it, a few centuries ahead of where PUBG is at. Like, I'm like, this is interesting, because Striking Distance was made for single player PUBG experiences, I guess. So the fact
it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't matter to anybody really. Like it's just like a cool thing to know. It's kind of like how Final Fantasy 7 and 10 are connected, but it's like it doesn't matter, but it's cool to know.
Except that the long-standing talk is that PUBG is looking to reboot itself, and the theory now has come out that it will actually be tied to this futuristic area that they've set for this game.
We'll have to wait and see if that actually comes to fruition. My number 3 announcement, once again sticking with the more indie stuff from the show, Season was a game announced for PS5 during the Game Awards. That game's
gonna make me cry. I'm going to say it right now.
This visually, man, this game looked stellar. It comes from developer Scavenger Studios, who worked on the Darwin project, described as a third-person atmospheric adventure bicycle road trip game. You play as a young woman exploring the world for the first time after previously living in a secluded village. Players will record the last moments of different cultures before they're washed away by a cataclysmic event. You are not there to stop the change, but to bear witness to it. To make recordings and attempt to understand what is being lost before it's gone. It's like making a time capsule, deciding what would capture the spirit of the time period and carry it onward. So you are witnessing the apocalypse, and there's no way to stop it.
People are saying that this is the best bicycle game since Paperboy.
There's not too many of them that I can think of, but that's it's a nice award to win. But the visuals. There's something about it, man. It has sort of like a journey, like flower type vibe to it. Reminds me of Hayao Miyazaki films with the music that's going on. It just, and the somber atmosphere of it, knowing now what it's going to be about, it just really makes it even more impactful to me because I love a game that can hit me on an emotional level. So yeah, this one I'm keeping an eye on.
I just was funny how for me, whenever we were watching this live, Drew, and that first piano note that came in, I was like, I'm in.
Kind of reminded me of Breath of the Wild too, how that that opening piano number. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that one as well. Mike, what is your final announcement you want to talk about?
Oh man, this was almost on the high that I had for the Sephiroth unveiling. Fortnite has unveiled their next of their new characters. On the back of Kratos, they showed off Master Chief DLC for Fortnite. And man, the way they did it was just so good. Not only do we get Master Chief and his awesomeness in Fortnite, but they also used Red versus Blue to intro it. And hearing Sarge and Caboose and just man, I am honestly intending to go back and watch the first few seasons of Red vs. Blue again after that, because I haven't done it in years. But it was just that was the way to do it. That was just absolutely
that was a cool little moment for sure.
I'm gonna jump ahead of everybody who wants to get fake fans in there, but it was Griff, not Caboose.
Yeah, I was gonna say
no. Caboose was in there, wasn't he?
No, it was not. It was Griff.
Was
it was Griff. Yeah,
dodge
man,
that landmine.
Yeah,
fake fans still untouched here.
Thank you, Tom. I thought Caboose was. I thought it was like 4 of them. I thought it was
no.
Sarge,
They showed
Griff,
Ninja.
Caboose, and
yeah, Ninja came in.
Ninja was there.
Which I don't I don't blame you for thinking that Ninja was Caboose.
Yeah. Wow.
wow.
Tom, round us out here. What is your final announcement you need to talk about from the Game Awards?
Very quickly, so we got a little quick teaser trailer that said Mass Effect will continue. Who cares? Moving on.
Thank you.
It's exciting for people that want the original trio or whatever
back,
right?
But then
so
for the
good
same
for them.
reason that Mike just already talked about with Dragon Age, it's like, oh, what do we know about BioWare right now?
Right.
Like the entire thing, like, oh great, well there's a new Mass Effect. Who cares? Andromeda was so great. I can't wait to go back into that universe now.
Did we skip over you, Vince?
This is one of my favorite things that has happened because it just threw the internet into a giant cluster F, and nobody knows how to react to it.
Yeah,
Right.
not something any of us are really excited about, but it is exciting that they are continuing the original story potentially. I'm excited for people that are excited. I don't think it's going to grab me, especially knowing that I never played the original trilogy, and they're just going to continue that story potentially. But good for all of you. Good for you. Hope you enjoy it in 5 years, or 6 or 7 years when it finally comes out. Vince, I skipped you. I'm sorry, and I definitely want to talk about this really quick. What is that final announcement you have?
Final one was It Takes Two was revealed by Joseph Fares.
Joseph Fares,
I think it's Joseph. Yeah.
I can't pronounce names. I apologize. But anyway, the description of this game is bring your favorite co-op partner. It's together step into the shoes of May and Cody. As a couple is going through a divorce through unknown means, their minds are transported into 2 dolls, which their daughter, Rose, made to represent them. Now they must reluctantly find a way to get back into their bodies, a quest which takes them through the most wild, unexpected, and fantastical journey imaginable. And the game releases on March 26th of 2021.
Not far away at all. It's like a romantic comedy. How often do you get romantic comedies in video games?
And the humor seems to be on point too. Like it was very like even Danielle was into that. So I'm definitely gonna be grabbing it, especially because just like with what was the other one they had?
A Way Out.
A Way Out. Just like with that, you'll get a free copy to give to a friend, a partner.
So. Yeah, I'm with Max Sandwich in the chat. That was one of my favorite trailers of the entire show. That was a really great reveal. I was surprised because A Way Out did nothing for me. I was not interested in that game at all, but this one has my attention.
If there's trailer of the show, I think it goes to It Takes Two. That was the most fun, like interesting trailer that had gameplay, which is always one of my top criteria for best trailer. Is it has to have gameplay, and
I can actually believe that this game will come out in March. Like I can believe that.
I can believe that this game actually exists and it's not just somebody's pipe dream.
Right.
Speaking
that
of
is
pipe dreams.
Yes. That wraps up the Game Awards. Really great show this year. Kudos to Jeff Keighley and everybody that made it work in this disastrous year that is 2020. I hope that they don't see a downtick next year. I'm seeing a lot of like negativity, like, oh, this wasn't as good as previous years. The announcements weren't as good. But like, you got to remember what what happened this year. Like all the delays, like there's a lot that probably could have been at the show that wasn't because of COVID. So I hope he doesn't see a downtick in viewership next year as a result of that. I hope we continue to see growth for the Game Awards. It is really important to the industry, and Jeff Keighley's doing a very important thing to legitimize further this medium and what it means, right? So
with E3 going by the wayside, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. It's important.
Now let's move on to the big one. Everybody wants to hear about this. It's Mike's topic this month. Go ahead, Mike.
Guys, I hope you had fun talking about joyous, fun new game reveals and all the awesomeness of the Game Awards, because now we get to shit all over Cyberpunk 2077, just like CD Projekt Red shat all over your hopes and dreams for this year. It is
Keep it PG-13, Mike.
Hey, listen, man, we're still hitting. I haven't dropped the F-bomb once. If there is a game to sum up 2020 in the way that COVID has, it is Cyberpunk 2077, giving us all the thrill and excitement of the disease that they have unleashed upon us. And I don't know which one's worse, to be quite honest. First, we're going to start with
Mike, I am
the
ready
apology.
To get down with the sickness. Rap for me, man.
Oh, God, man. Man, I am riled up for this because screw them so hard. It took everything in me to not use the F word there. CDPR has started off. We're going to start this way. We're going to go with their apology first. Days after launch day, couple days after launch day to be in fact. Quote, first of all, now mind you, this is all with a hint of bullshit. First of all, we would like to start by apologizing to you for not showing the game on base last-gen consoles before it premiered. And, my favorite, in consequence, not allowing you to make a more informed decision about your purchase.
No, this is my favorite. This is my favorite, Mike. Please.
Please, play it on.
There's a reason why that one is. But anyway, this is what a lot of people take note of. We should have paid more attention to making it play better on PlayStation 4 and Xbox.
Oh, my God. Who read that? Who wrote that and thought that was a good sentence to put in their statement? We should have paid more attention to making it play better. What?
Here's an idea. Then just don't put it out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Holy crap. Like 100 million, 150 million people are on PS4 and Xbox One. Most of the people that play this game are going to play it on base next-gen consoles. Only 20% of PlayStation 4 owners also have a PS4 Pro. And you say you should have paid more attention to making it play better.
Intentionally, at many times, said that you were going to focus on last gen and make it everything it needed to be because you knew how many people were playing on those consoles, and told people that they were not going to focus on next gen consoles because not as many people would be on there. And yet, here we are. I don't know where that is, but I really don't think you do either.
Fun fact.
You're rocking a hard place, Mike.
This game was originally supposed to release in April. This game was supposed to be released in April. If they weren't going to pay more attention to making it play better on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, then how are they going to release it in April and have 7 months of it only playable on PS4 and Xbox One? Not even on the next-gen consoles to improve the console experience. Forget PC.
In fact,
oh my God.
It barely had any development done. But that's neither here nor there, because I'm going to go on with their quote, because I like this next part coming up, even though we have the apologist, loving it, because it plays great. No, you're lying. We would always like everyone who buys our games to be satisfied with their purchase. We would appreciate it if you would give us a chance. But if you are not pleased with the game on your console and don't want to wait for updates, you can opt to refund at the store where you bought the game. Should this not be possible, please contact us at helpmerefund@cdprojectred.com, and we will do our best to help you. Starting from today, you can contact us for a week up until tomorrow. Now, I'm going to dissect this for a second. We would always like everyone who buys our games.
By the way, by tomorrow, he means December 21st.
Yes, thank you. December 21st. Is the cutoff day because nobody's getting this game for Christmas. We would appreciate it if you give us a chance, but if you're not pleased, you can return the game and get a refund at the store where you bought it from. On top of the multiple issues with that last part of the statement, your game was supposed to release in 2019. Your game was supposed to release in Q1 of 2020 with 3 different dates. Your game was supposed to release in fall of 2020 with multiple dates. You hit a 2020 date finally, by God knows why, basically because you said, well, we can't say 2021 because then the memes are just going to write themselves. So all your meme calls, I guess, would go through the roof. So you decide to put out a shit product anyway. No, nobody should trust you. Nobody should give you a chance. The chance was you tell us what you are giving us and we give you money for it. Oh, you gave us shit? Well, here, give me my money back. Here is your piece of crap product. I really don't understand it. Going further with the please contact us at helpmerefund@cdprojectred.com and return to the storefront where you bought it. Nobody knew about this. You decided to say that, but Sony didn't want you to do that. Steam didn't want you to do that, and Microsoft didn't want you to do that.
No, they all denied. Every single one of them were like, now Xbox to a lesser extent because they have a little bit more of an open refund for digital purchases than PlayStation does, and PlayStation's been kind of dragged for that for a long time now. Ironically, though, they were the ones to switch face quicker, right? Change face quicker. But
well, and I think Microsoft would have, believe it or not, I think actually Microsoft, in my opinion, is more understanding and giving with these situations. I do think the marketing deal that they had going was a huge issue.
Yes, I agree.
With all this, and it continues to be. And I think Sony definitely deserves all the crap that they get for the way that they handle returns. But that said,
but also the fact that they let it get past their quality assurance.
Right, absolutely.
All of them did, right? And this goes back to what I talked about earlier, where do you draw the line, right? It's like, this is one of the most anticipated games of all time. Xbox, what if they don't, push it away and they allow it on their console, and then PlayStation's like, no, we don't want it on our console. Now Xbox has one of the biggest exclusives ever on their console, and PlayStation doesn't know for sure. Does the day one patch fix all this? Is it going to work out maybe on day one? Do we want to take that chance?
Here's the thing. Actually, and word is on the street on this, so it's one of those things, but there's so much chatter going on right now, and there's a lot of people that I know who talk about this that I'm like, I believe this. There was apparently a promise that was whenever they did cert that they were like, no, day one patch is going to fix the majority of these issues and everything like that.
Yeah,
that was the actual.
I believe it.
Which is why, because I remember seeing that people were going after Sony specifically for the quality assurance, how it got passed, and CD Projekt Red, to their credit, came out immediately after they started seeing that. It's like, no, it's not on them. It's 100% on us because we told them.
Wait. Let's not give too much credit here, because the only reason they did that is because
give too much credit to them.
PlayStation and Xbox are pissed right now. You know it. PlayStation and Xbox are absolutely pissed 100%. Right now at what's happened to them and they're being accused of because of entirely CD Projekt Red's wrongdoings. Now, granted, like you said, quality assurance aside, they believed CD Projekt Red in that they were going to get this thing working day one. Should Sony have believed it? Should Microsoft have believed it? I don't know. We don't know what happened behind the scenes there, but I don't want to give CDPR really any credit at all here.
They deserve none. This is why. So there are many reasons why, and I'm not going to pick on. I'm not going to say names, but there are people that defend it, and there are people that are defending in the chat right now, and they don't deserve any of your support right now. And there are multitudes and multitudes of reasons for it. And I could literally spend an entire episode detailing why. God knows that Vince and I have had our one-offs on conversations, as well as I've had it with other people, and trying to explain it to people that only kind of have fleeting information of video games in general, and they're like, why is Cyberpunk getting so much crap? And explaining it takes forever because there's so many things that they've done wrong by misleading not only you as gamers, but their internal staff and their investors, which is actually going to be a big issue. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah. No, and the only thing I was going to say, and what's crazy is I've actually played it. I actually went and I've played the PC version. I've played on a decent rig. I actually did that a little bit more behind the scenes because I didn't want to support the game on a stream. I didn't want to talk about it or anything like that. And Mike and I have been kind of really talking about everything. And it is absolutely insane. Like, if there's an appropriate GIF right now, it's the Han Solo from Force Awakens. It's true. All of it. The amount of issues that this game has on a surface level is insane. No game ever has been this buggy, this transphobic, this racist, this misogynist, this
all in
bigoted.
one.
It is insanity of what this game is.
Mhm.
It is just a garbage game. And everyone knows, everyone should know from this community, I was one of the biggest hype men for this game. I was super stoked for this game. Should tell you something.
So it's not just the console ports that are an issue. I know people that have it on PC that have actually decided to wait. And their PCs are slightly better than mine. And my PC can run some games pretty decently. It's nothing, anything amazing, but years ago it was. It was 1700X with a GTX 1080. And I've not had many issues. There's actually not a game that I can't run to where it craps out on me. And their rigs can barely handle it without the stuttering and without the random pop in, as well as the bugs that are actually in the game itself. To say that the game is great and just has console issues is really not true. And even to say it doesn't have issues on next gen consoles like PS5 and Xbox One, we're seeing multiple times where a game does actually run slightly better on the PS5 than Xbox One more often than not, and yet both consoles have had their fair share of issues. I know a friend that actually just decided to stop playing it altogether and get a refund playing it on a PS5 because they've had a few times where it's crashed. Heck, people in our own community have said the same thing. So it's great to not have issues yourself, but to say that, it's just in that reason that people are just mad and they're jumping on the train. No, it is just that you are in a weird position where either it doesn't affect you or it hasn't affected you in the way that it does to everybody else.
Let's not lose the messaging here because I feel like we're getting off track. The
Right.
point is, you can ignore all that anyway. How it plays on PC really doesn't pertain to the main conversation that we're having here. In a few months, it's probably going to be great on PC. Let's be honest. They'll probably iron out a lot of the kinks, and it'll play great on PC. The point here is that they released this game after delay after delay after delay of 7 years of hype, after originally promising it on last-gen consoles in April, and they released it in a broken state. This is not just buggy. This is borderline unplayable for most people on PS4 and Xbox One, the majority of who are playing this game. That is on consoles I'm talking about, especially. For the amount of people that have PS5 and Xbox Series X in comparison to who has base PS4 and Xbox One, it's a huge gulf there between the two. Those people thought they were getting a polished experience that they've been waiting 7 years for. And on top of that, they were lied to. Investors were lied to. Everybody, PlayStation, Xbox, were lied to intentionally, maliciously by CD Projekt Red.
This is the point, because I'm seeing certain people in the chat bring this up. It's the fact that you're lying to your investors, you're lying to customers, you're misleading customers. I mean, look, CDPR, like, I get it. I get what you're saying, Max Sandwich, that they claim that the reason why that they were working to the console patch like right up to the 11th hour, I don't buy that.
That's bullshit. It's 100% bullshit. It's known bullshit.
At some point, you have to step up and you have to say, look, the PS4 one, our current gen ports not really there just yet, guys. And you make a call. You make a call to delay it. You delay it another month. You do what you have to do. You don't put it out after showing off all these different trailers, showing off how it runs and everything else like that to the investors and everything else. Look, I work in one of the major like international television networks in the city. We're covering this. Like, this is a huge story that transcends gaming to where you're seeing the stock price drop down 9.5% over 2 days. They're losing billions of dollars in market value.
Exactly. So this wasn't even a good financial
this is a
decision.
huge deal. This isn't just people who are just hating on it on the internet. This is losing people money to the point. And
let's say again here,
developers are up in arms over this.
Max,
Look
you
at the video.
kind of keep dodging the point here. I'm not trying
Look
to
at the
pick
video.
on you. I'm not trying to pick on you, but you keep saying it plays for me on Series X. We're not talking about you. We know that it plays better on Series X. We know that it runs for the most part 60 FPS and only crashes, here and there. If you are playing on PS4 or Xbox One base, you would not be saying what you're saying right now. You would not be singing the praises of this game if you were playing this on PS4 or Xbox One. That is a fact. You would not be doing it. There's no way. You might be saying there's a good game behind all this, but that doesn't matter if you can't play it for more than 30 minutes without it crashing.
Right. Which is where I had the issue with all the reviews that came in with hundreds. With the amount of times, listen, if you have a review that is going to give it, and you're going to give the game 100, your tagline, your quote from the game should not be, if you look past its bugs. That is so absurd to me. And this is what I'm talking about with the apologizing. You like everybody that is kind of coming to their defense. It's almost like you're defending something because you want to have a passion for it, like it. And it's whatever. And that's, do not defend these companies. They are companies that not only don't give a shit about you, they don't give a shit about their own staff. This is unequivocal. I am not exaggerating when I sit here and I can sit here and give an entire episode on why CD Projekt Red should not be supported from this moment currently, because of all the issues with their own team and their own staff, with the way that they lie to customers and to their shareholders, with the transphobic and racist BS that go on with it, as well as the misogyny that really goes on, not only in the game, but in the actual work culture in CDPR. There is so much that is deep in there. Just to even touch on that real quick, because someone said it's not transphobic and racist. Just a quick one-off thing. Let's go over, because you can easily find the transphobic stuff. The racism stuff is actually being kind of a shoot aside. The Voodoo Boys in the original source material in the tabletop were actually a gang of white guys pretending to be black and acting as if they were black with the racist ideas that they had of them. And it was the entire thing of Cyberpunk in its original form was actually commentary on social issues. And not one of the things in this game is a commentary on social issues other than the meta of the actual thing going on in CD Projekt Red of do not support the big corporations like CD Projekt Red. The Voodoo Boys in this game are all what they definitely have accents. Are they Jamaican or are they like they
Haitian,
kind of have that?
They're a Haitian gang. In
yeah.
this game.
So like they said, oh, you know what? Screw that. We're actually going to just make the Voodoo Boys black Haitians. Same thing with the Asian gang, whose name is escaping me. And it's just everything. You can go so deep into this. You can go so deep for literally hours on it. Do not apologize for them because they do not deserve it. And you don't deserve to screw yourself over by, and ruin your own integrity by defending it. If you have played it and you're having fun because there's something good there, fine, whatever, so be it. But don't lie to yourself that this is a good company that has delivered a great product and has not lied to tons of people and hurt many, many more, including customers and staff alike.
The video is telling us to move on. But one thing I want to say real quick in response again to Max.
To the video overlord.
This is, for most intents and purposes, unprecedented. The only situation I think might be comparable to this is Skyrim on PS3. Maybe, because that game did eventually got to a point where it would crash.
Fallout 3 PS3, but yeah,
I would say Skyrim more because that one would actually crash. Bugs are one thing, Bethesda's known for bugs.
I had plenty of crashes with Fallout 3.
Crashing and unplayable though is another thing, and Skyrim PS3 would eventually get to that point the more you played it, right? But this game starts that way, and it's also a game that is one of the most hyped games ever made. It's kind of unprecedented, especially when you take into account all of the lying and bullshit that's been spewed, all of the investor, deception that is going on in the background. This has never happened like this before. This kind of deception
that they weren't going to go into crunch, and then they went into crunch.
They went into crunch for a whole year and a half. And the
other
other thing too is
didn't start development for the most part until like late 2018. The majority of teams inside CD Projekt Red didn't know that they were supposed to be starting development on this game until that point. And most of them didn't even start developing certain aspects of the game until partway into 2019. Again, you don't know, look into it yourself. Great, you're enjoying the game, fine. Actually look into it from commentary of people that worked inside the studio, as well as people that have insiders that know things that go on inside these studios.
And I'm going to say one more thing. This game is broken so much to a fundamental code base that guess what? If your game save goes above 8 megabytes, your game save is corrupted permanently.
Yeah.
You know how that happens? When you craft and you do not do inventory management. That is a broken game.
In a game where, I mean, God, if The Witcher is any indication, which I was a hoarder, and I'll be completely honest, I love hoarding in my inventory. This game would screw me. I'd be screwed in like a couple hours with the way I hoard in these games.
Olive tree. the crunch is an issue with CDPR because they specifically said that they weren't going to do it.
Yeah.
If they just went and did it, that would be one thing because yes, everybody else is doing it and it's something that needs to be addressed. But they specifically came out and said, this is not something that we believe in. This is not something that we're going to be doing going forward. And then sure enough, what did they do? Year and a half went into crunch and they still blew it.
Yeah. It's wild, and I am curious, as some people in the chat said, like, what's this going to be 3 to 6 months from now? Do people forget about it if they release a lot of great patches and then they add the Witcher 3 or Witcher 4 Siri edition? Do people forget about all this? That's an interesting question and conversation to have on another date. I think that there's actually a chance that this will have long-lasting impact on CDPR, especially if some of these lawsuits go through. So we'll have to keep an eye on all of that and see. And see what all happens. You guys didn't really vote too much on the question in the chat, unfortunately, but we asked you guys, like, should they have canceled the PS4, Xbox One versions? I just want to say real quick, I think that they should have. Yes, I think they should have just canceled the PS4 and Xbox One versions, and I think they should have done it a long time ago to try and mitigate
we said this a year
how upset people would be from that. But I do think that they should have canceled this as soon as they possibly could, back when they knew it just wasn't going to work, which they had to know probably a year plus ago that it wasn't going to work. That's when they should have canceled it. Oh wait, Tom, I heard a sound. You know what that sound means?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is now time for the halftime head. That's right, friends. This is your opportunity to wager your SP for fabulous prizes and to put that up towards some of the great collectibles that we have during this season. To see what our current wagers are and to jump in, you can go ahead and head over to our Discord where you can put in a wager and we will negotiate it here live on stream, or depending on the bet, we may negotiate it via Discord.
We do that sometimes.
We do that sometimes, depending on the nature of the bet. But typically speaking, we'd like to negotiate the terms of a wager here on the stream. So, with that being said, we have a resolved wager. We have several, actually. First, we have Hempman RX, who made the bet that Cyberpunk 2077's Metacritic user score specifically, would be lower than 43 10 days after launch. And he
I did the math here, Tom. I did the math here on this one. So I did, because there was a lot of variables to take into account here.
There was a lot of variables.
If you just look at PC, then he's not even close. It's got a 71 user score. But when you take into account PS4 and Xbox One, which Metacritic does separate out, that's when it gets interesting. Right. Now, PS4 has a 32 user score on Metacritic, and Xbox One has a 44 user score on Metacritic. Right. The problem, though, is that we also had to take into account how many ratings were made for each platform. PC by far had the most, with over 22,000 ratings, PS4 with 8,200 ratings, and Xbox One with 3,150 ratings. So when you take that all into account and you average it based on 71 times 22,000 plus 32 times 8,200, if you do it that way, you do get the overall user score throughout all three platforms. And unfortunately, Hetman RX was a little ballsy.
And it's very important, too, because much like making a wish to a genie, you need to specify to the point of what you are talking about, which is why the important points were user score, not critic score. And he did not specify what platform. He just said user score. So Drew went the extra mile and found that user rating. We found that the average user rating across all three major platforms was 59, was an average score of 59.
Which is still awful, don't get me wrong.
It's still bad. But
really bad.
But you had to get close, and I was even willing to give it to him if he got 43 on the dot. I would have even have given it to him then. But unfortunately, Hepman, you just missed it. It was a good thought. It was absolutely a good thought. You just flew a little bit too close to the sun on this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So
Yeah, he
Hetman-
originally went for 75, let's remember. And we said, no, that's too easy because we knew this was going to get rammed by a lot of different, areas, a lot of different variables involved here. But he
Right.
went really ballsy.
Right, which he went really ballsy, which is why he was allowed to make a wager as large as he did. So
Yeah.
he had wagered 5,000 SP, and unfortunately, having lost, he now gets deducted that SP. For everybody in the chat, nothing happens with you. You guys are all safe. But Hetman unfortunately loses 5,000 SP on that wager.
That is correct.
Moving
I'm
on.
sorry, Hitman.
Moving on, Farsender made another wager this month. The Last of Us Part 2 PS5 upgrade, as well as factions, will be revealed at the Game Awards. And with the stipulation that it must be both. It can't be one or the other. It has to be both. We have to get a PS5 upgrade and factions, which was going to be their multiplayer element. And he wagered 1,500 SP on that. And unfortunately, as we all saw, that did not play out during the Game Awards. So, unfortunately, for you, Farsender, the house wins. You are deducted 1,500 SP.
I was honestly a little surprised. I thought that there might
I
be
thought that was
something
for
The Last
sure.
of Us there. So I was
interested,
with you there, Farsender.
especially because they swept, and I think a lot of people felt that they were going to sweep. That seemed like that would be the ideal time to try and announce something, because then you would have so much positive press around the game. Absolutely. Then anybody who, for whatever reason, owns a PS4 or PS5 and hasn't played The Last of Us 2, that would have been a perfect opportunity for you to pick it up.
Yeah, for sure.
And our final wager, we have again Hetman RX. He decided to go with another wager, a little bit smaller this time, because I think we all thought that it was very likely that this was going to happen. Silent Hills will not be revealed at the Game Awards. Silent Hills, as some of you may remember, was a game that was going to be made by Kojima Productions that was going to feature Norman Reedus, that came from the PT teaser little game that they had there for a little bit. And unfortunately, things happened, and Silent Hills has kind of gone into like this dark kind of like limbo situation. So we all felt that when he had mentioned that, yeah, it's probably not going to be there. And sure enough, as we saw, Silent Hills did not make an appearance at the Game Awards. Neither did Hideo Kojima, I think, right?
Nope, he was not there. First time.
That would have been actually a very good bet.
That was a bizarre change of events, in my opinion. The fact that Kojima wasn't there, and then had a weird announcement, announced on Twitter like days later.
Yeah, the Death Stranding like anniversary merch stuff and all that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he did get it right.
So he did get that right. So Hetman is awarded his bet of 750 SP. And also, everybody who is taking part in the season will also be awarded a smaller portion of that, but they
188 to be exact, Tom.
Correct. So they will. So you all also win. So when one person wins, you all win, but you have the opportunity to win a little bit more if you actually make the bet. Yeah. So with that being said, those are all the resolved wagers that we have. And we have a new wager courtesy of King Kurt 757. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a longer term one. This is not going to be resolved next month or for several months to come, most likely. He is wagering that God of War Ragnarok will not release in 2021. It's a fair thing to bring up. And because we think that it's possible that it could. It's almost like a 50-50 toss-up, I think. If I were to put actual odds on it, I would probably put it at maybe like, I would say probably, I would be close to 50-50, maybe 60-40 that it releases in 2021.
Yeah, because, I mean, how often does Sony Santa Monica delay God of War games? I'm trying to think in the past if they have delayed externally. Internally is one thing. I don't think that they've ever announced a release date and then also delayed it. We've heard about internal delays. That happens, right? But they announced 2021. And I'm with you. I think if we take Sony Santa Monica's track record, the likelihood is that it does come out in 2021 because they very rarely miss their dates when it comes to God of War. What that says for this game, I don't know. Like, is this game maybe not as big as the other God of War game? That's another discussion to have. But the point is, God of War Ragnarok, if that's what you want to call the subtitle, does that game release in 2021? Do we think 5,000 is a fair assessment there, or wager, considering that it's probably more likely to come out in 2021 than not?
Well, I said 60-40. I can understand too if somebody wants to say that it's more like 75-25. Somebody here might feel extremely confident that this game's going to come out in 2021. So I do think my gut tells me that it's not going to get delayed into 2022.
That's my gut too.
I think it's a fair bet to say that it not coming out in 2021 is definitely worth being elevated to that 5,000 SP.
Okay. Tom says 5,000.
That he took the liberty of saying that that's what he wanted to bet.
Mike, do you agree? You think 5,000 is fair?
I'm a little bit torn, only because I have a horse in this race.
I know you do, and so do I.
And I'm gonna give it to him only because I really don't care. About him getting the 5,000 SP, and I think it's for him.
When it happens,
I think it's deserved.
10 months from now or whatever, when it happens.
Right.
Vince, you agree? 5,000 is okay?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's a very fair bet, considering, like, at any moment, Santa Monica Studios can be like, hey, yeah, it's now 2022.
Right.
So I think it's fair. I mean, that can drop at any moment.
Look, COVID is still a real thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, that we don't know how much or how little that's actually affecting the development of God of War. So
yeah,
it's possible. It's absolutely possible. But I still think probably more likely than not, it's going to come out in 2021. Probably holiday 2021, but it's going to come out this coming year.
And actually,
I personally would have maybe argued for a little bit of a lower wager, but you all are okay with it, 5,000. I wasn't going to argue much lower anyway, but I'm okay with it. 5,000, we're putting in the books. King Kurt, it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a long game here, but when it does happen, whatever season that is the season that you get awarded that 5,000 SP.
Now, friends, just to bring up, while King Kurtz is going to be a much longer issue to be resolved, that doesn't mean necessarily that we are not going to have anything to be resolved for next month. If you have a wager that you want to put up your SP for, please go ahead and put into the Halftime Hedge channel what you would like to bet to try and earn yourself extra SP to get you elevated within that season. So please go ahead and hit up our Discord and place your bets.
Yes, please. All right, moving on. We're maybe we can catch up a little bit here with these last two if we move fast. We'll start with you, Tom, with your topic. Back to the level update here.
Yeah, so we're gonna go. We're kind of switching it up here because there's not too much else that we really want to talk about in kind of current events. And the fact that this is going to be our last show of 2020, we want to take a look ahead. And we want to start talking about some of our more anticipated games of 2021. And as Andrew had just mentioned, we're going to try to probably go through these a little bit quicker, just because we want to try to make some time here. Guys, if you want to say something really brief about like what you're excited about with the specific games, go ahead.
Yeah, but I got it. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to rapid fire it.
I'm going to say just go rapid fire, go down your list.
My most anticipated games of 2021, one is on screen right now, Kena Bridge of Spirits. Now, this is actually a little bit of a risky pick here, right? Because Ember Labs is a new studio. We really don't have like any basis here, any history to expect this to be an amazing game. But man, when this was revealed with PS5, the animation, the music, the voice acting, the visual direction, all of that was like, wow, this is doing it for me. This is what I really enjoy. I really hope the gameplay lives up to what they showed off there. But we'll have to wait and see.
I thought this was like a CG Kubo and the Two Strings. Like
it looks that good. I agree.
It looks so good.
Yeah, it's one of those, are we at Pixar level games? It really does look like that. So I hope it lives up to that original reveal trailer and I hope it comes out soon. Moving on from that, Horizon Forbidden West up on screen right now. I think a lot of you guys know I actually wasn't that high on Horizon until Zero Dawn. I'm sorry, and it was because I didn't connect with Aloy and the story as much as I was really hoping for. I thought the combat and the world was beautiful. Obviously, the visuals are fantastic, but this original reveal trailer for Forbidden West gave me those Ori and the Blind Forest vibes and Fern Gully vibes and things like that, where like you're taking care of the environment and taking care of animals and wildlife. And I connected with that, and I just have a feeling that I'm going to connect not just with that, but the story and Aloy more in the second game, and that's why Horizon Forbidden West is very high for me. After that, up on screen right now, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, another one where you guys might remember I actually wasn't anticipating to like that game as much as I did, because I just like, can this game actually be a 97?
Did I miss battling the Cyberpunk
Yeah, turn
naysayers?
off the
True,
words.
the horse dodges trees.
right. I was like, can it actually be that good? And I don't know that I would say it's a 97, but man, I like, that's one of my favorite streaming experiences ever on Twitch. I loved playing that game. I loved that world. I love the openness, of course, and the traversal. So I have to be excited, and I have to hope that that game actually does come out in 2021, because come on, man, like, how long we have to wait for this? They gotta get that game out next year, and I have another bet coming up, another prediction associated with that, so I really hope so. After that, Final Fantasy 16. Again, really risky, because can this game actually hit 2021? That seems insane to me, but supposedly it's been in development for years now, and the team working on it and everything they've said about it since that original reveal, which I honestly wasn't that hyped for, that original reveal. It's not typically what I want from a Final Fantasy game, but last month on the episode when we talked about everything revealed in that website information, oh man, like all of the different kingdoms and how they all have their own crystal and how they pull from that, and how there's summons and dominance and all this associated with it. Like, they're really building a lot of world and lore there that I'm attaching with. And I have a good feeling about this. I have a really good feeling about it, especially the combat that they showed off. I do hope that it has a party system, but I'm willing to wait and see how all that plays out. And finally, up on screen right now, God of War Ragnarok. Come on now. I believe it. I believe that it is coming out in 2021. Gotta believe.
And it will happen.
One of the best games of the entire generation. Some would argue the best game of the entire generation. We'll be getting to that during our topic of the month. But we got nothing to go off of, really, right? We got nothing to go off of, but just based off the first game alone, that's all we need. That game is absolutely phenomenal. Knowing like what Ragnarok could be from a visual spectacle, showpiece level. Oh my God, imagine what this game could be. I cannot wait. That is probably my most anticipated game of 2021.
There you
Moving
go.
on.
Very
Who's
fair.
up next,
Moving
Mike?
on to Mike.
Is me. So I'm going to go from least, I guess technically least, to most, but not 100%. At the bottom of my list is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Why is it at the bottom of my top? Only for the sheer fact of I know for 100% this game is going to be great, and it's not going to be my game of the year most likely, but man, do I love these games, and I just cannot wait to dive into that and see how well the PS5 handles that world transition time to time, and see what goofiness they come up with. Hopefully there's a new version of their chicken launcher, and what Mr. Frick, what's it? Mr. Zircon.
Mr. Zircon.
Mr.
Zircon.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I love it. And Zircon family. Number 4 for me is Final Fantasy XVI.
Yes.
Man, after 15, playing that and watching Vince replay, I cannot wait for this game and seeing them go back to a more medieval style world after having to slog through Final Fantasy VII Remake. I just cannot wait to dive back into what
You're ready to
Final
battle,
Fantasy
man.
game truly is. I am, Drew. I am ready to battle dragons with fire in Final Fantasy 16. After that is going to be God of War Ragnarok. Yes, I put it on my list. Yes, I'm a hypocrite because it's not coming out in 2021, but if it's in there, it's right in the middle of my list because it is going to be my top game. God of War, the first of the reboot, whatever you want to consider it, was probably my game of the generation, and it's going to be up there. A surprise one for me that I can't get out of my head that does feel a little hypocritical at best is Hogwarts Legacy. Off the back of all my issues with CD Projekt Red, there's a lot of contention around this title as well, given J.K. Rowling. To me, it's one of those things where unfortunately the creator is a demonic piece of shit. In this game has nothing to do with her other than her source material.
Can't argue
that. Thank you. And just in the same way as what's the guy that created all those horror things? That's also a piece of shit.
H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Thank you. You can't eradicate the
Play
source.
Bloodborne, by the way.
Right.
Exactly.
From the creator, and this game
Call
looks
of
like it can
Cthulhu.
deliver on so many cylinders if it actually comes out. And then rounding out the top of my list is going to be Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2. I don't know if they can recreate that magic that was the original, but man, if there's any chance they can, that game is one of the only games that can give God of War a run for my money on top games of the generation. And it's been a back and forth within my own psyche to decide who it's going to be. But hopefully they can do it justice and deliver when that pro console comes out.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Good list.
Yeah, very nice list.
Vince, you're up next.
Yeah, moving for me. Bottom of the list for me, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. I'm more interested in the tech, to be honest. Insomniac has delivered some really great technology, and Ratchet and Clank is always a great game to play through because they always kind of push a little bit like some of their engine limits there. So I'm really excited for that, especially utilizing the SSD, seeing all that type of stuff. That's more where my interest is at. Right. Moving up, going to Hitman 3. I'm excited for that. Hitman 3 is probably going to be one of the greatest values in all of gaming when it comes out, considering if you will be able to get the first game and second game levels all pretty much improved into this third game. This is going to be one heck of a long game to play.
It's almost like getting the orange box.
Literally, it's crazy with the amount of content that's in this. That's going to be in that type of game. I'm a little disappointed that Hitman 3 is not going back to the episodic format that was Hitman 1. I thought that was a missed opportunity. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but it made me play that game for 6 months because every month there was a new episode to play, and there was this new level to play. There's this new way to interact, and I don't know. I'm really excited at that. Plus the whole VR mode. I mean, let's think about that. Hitman 3 has got it's just this insane value of a game package. But then moving up to my next game, it's Deathloop. I'm really liking the look of Deathloop. I love Arcane Studios. I loved Prey. Prey was one of my top games of the generation. It was actually an honorable mention. I'm sorry. And I love the Dishonored series. And everything about what they showed with Deathloop, with the way the time loop works, with how you have this very much, you got to hit all these targets, and you got to do it all in the same loop. It's got this whole puzzle mechanic on top of this invasive mechanic from another player or an AI, if you choose that way. I feel like I'm going to be playing this game a lot because it's going to have much more of that kind of I want to figure out how can I optimize my route the best way? How can I do this the better way?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm most excited. Plus the powers just look like they're going to be a lot of fun. Then second on my list,
Studios presents a PS5 game.
Yes, there's going to be that weird thing we see. Moving on to my second one is Final Fantasy 16. Knowing that most of the Heaven Sword team is pretty much working on this project is actually what got me super duper excited. Plus the music for this trailer was off the charts for me. I need a soundtrack now, please. I love the style of it. I love the graphical engines of it, and it's got two massive combat leads technically with it. It's got the combat director of Devil May Cry 5, one of the best action games of all time.
Yes.
As their lead combat director, and on top of the Kingdom Hearts 2 battle designer and everything like that, he's also involved in this game along with some other big veterans that are in there. So the action part of this game is probably going to be off the charts. And then for me, my most anticipated game, which I don't mind if I get judged a little bit here, is Returnal. Actually,
not gonna judge you, man.
I don't know. There's something there that I'm just like, I feel like this is going to be a much bigger hit than what people are thinking it's going to be. I hope it works out for Housemarque because, this is a $70 title. This is a big asking point. But everything that they're doing, from what I'm seeing, the bullet hell, the movement, the way that their whole design is live, die, repeat, keep doing it over and over again. The entire environment changes again. You lose your progression somewhat in a way. you only have very small like sections to where you kind of keep improving your arsenal, but you actually like lose your weapons and everything like that. I don't know. This game I feel is going to be very difficult, and I have a feeling it's going to be a technical and audio showcase for the PS5.
I think I'm a little worried about how it does from a commercial standpoint. I hope that they make back their money. I hope that they're able to invest in-house, Mark, and maybe bring them into first-party studios. But I do think from a critical perspective, I expect this game to perform very well. I have a good feeling about that game. So I'm with you there, Vince. Tom,
okay,
you created this topic, round it out.
So I'm going to start with my... I didn't think there was any particular order, but I'm kind of happy with the order that I have. Horizon, Forbidden West, I mean, not much to say here. There's not a whole lot to say about a lot of these things, because a lot of them have already been spoken for. Forbidden West, I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought that it was a very interesting take on the open world format, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. I mean, who doesn't love seeing Lance Reddick?
Yeah, man.
Right.
God of War Ragnarok coming in for number 4 for me. It's God of War. God of War was my game of the year, or generation. Generation. It was my game of the generation. To me, it was so much of a departure from what it was previously, and I'm so excited to see what it continues to be on and how they build off of what they established in the first game. I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Again, love Ratchet and Clank. I feel like everybody should play one of these more lighthearted affairs. Even though it's still kind of a shooting game, I think you need to round out with something that's a little bit more fun and colorful, bright. And plus, as Vince mentioned, the tech in this game is going to be outstanding to witness. So I can't wait. And with that being said, Returnal as being my second one that I'm really excited for.
Yes.
Just all the particle effects, everything that we're just seeing going on there. It looks like it's going to be a feast for the eyes, which is not too dissimilar to what you would expect from House Marquee at this point. So I am very, very interested in seeing how this game comes out and what the minute-to-minute gameplay and the actual gameplay loop of this is going to be. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do. And the fact that it's a game that's specifically being made for this console and this generation, I feel like, you know, we're going to see something akin to what we've seen with, like, even Astro's Playroom. Yep. Something that was, like, specifically designed with this in mind. And my number one, no surprise for me, it's RE8 Village. I love Resident Evil 7. I thought it was a great way. I mean, look, they took great advantage of the fact that PT, nothing was going to come of that, and they just stole the thunder from that as quickly as they possibly could. And I can't wait to see how this ends out with what's going on with Ethan. Why is Chris killing people dressed up? Why is he hiding his boulder punching biceps right now?
That's what I want to know, Tom. I need to know too.
These are the questions I have in my head. Like, is he still jacked as hell? I need to know. So,
of course, like, most important questions.
These are important questions. Also, the fact that this is a virus that turns people into werewolves. Like, this is a much different thing than we've ever seen from the Resident Evil universe. Are we going to see vampires too on top of that? Who knows? But I can't wait to see this. Seeing an RE7 version of what would essentially is going to end up being the RE4, because it's very clear that they're using, it seems like, a lot of the same assets or a lot of the same kind of basic structure in order to make the remake for RE4. Like, this seems like this was supposed to be a stepping stone to doing RE4 remake. So, I am excited to see this, and I'm gonna stream the hell out of this game. You can place money on that. If you want to put a halftime edge on how many hours I'm going to be streaming RE8, place your bets.
There you have it.
There we have it.
There we have it. So, moving on. Vince, your topic, bud.
One little comment for the chat real quick. Duroc, I do think that the script is malfunctioning as far as giving out SP for gifted subs. So what I'm going to do post-stream is I'll have to go back into the archive and look at where that happened, and I'll just have to add up the number of gifted subs you did and give it to you manually. But don't worry, I'll make sure you get all the SP, as well as White Topaz, as well as Average Psych, and anybody else that has gifted subs tonight. I'll make sure you get the SP that you deserve.
You're breaking the bots, everybody. With all
seriously, I think that's what happened. I think you guys gifted subs so quickly together in such rapid succession that I think it broke the script. So
Yeah.
I'll have to do it manually.
It's all good. It's amazing, guys. Thank you so much for the support.
70 subs tonight.
Dang. Wow. 70 subs? Wow.
70.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas is for sure there. Moving on here real quick, guys. We're going to move into our 2021 gaming predictions. You heard about our 2021, excitement, our top anticipated games. But we're going to move on to our predictions now. And Drew, we're going to try to do this rapid fire as well so we can get some of this time back here. Drew, you are up first. Rock and roll.
Yeah, I think the way I have the video is we'll each go one by one, but yeah, let's go as quickly as possible here. Once I'm done, just go right to Mike and Vince and Tom and keep going round table as quickly as possible. Hope Mike comes back in time. But my first prediction for 2021, chair stream. Nintendo will announce the successor to the Switch in 2021. It will release the same year, 2021. It will be a beefed up Switch capable of 4K when docked. Breath of the Wild 2 will release with the Switch Pro, same time, and it will still be playable on the original Switch as well. So they're going to try and sort of mimic what they did with Breath of the Wild 1 coming out on Wii U and Switch at the same time. They're going to do that now at Switch and Switch Pro in 2021. That is my prediction. Mike, where the hell are you?
I got
it. Vince.
Mike. Okay, we'll skip the me.
Read off Mike's so we can.
I'll read off Mike's. I got you.
Yeah.
So Mike's first prediction, everyone, is God of War Ragnarok will not release in 2021. Memes of Sean Layden saying "Just finish the game, Corey" will be abundant. Release date will be February 2022 with a trailer hinting at the end of Kratos.
I don't believe it.
Moving on. Yeah, I could believe it too. Moving on to my first prediction. It'll be Sony's quote-unquote answer to Game Pass. Really what I think is what's going to happen there, it's going to be like a hybrid of the PlayStation Plus Instant Collection that they have currently going on right now and the marquee titles of PS Now. With the marquee titles being like that 3-month, they stay on the month or they stay on 3-month type deal. I think it's going to be much more of a very close, very more tighter catalog is what they're going to try to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, everyone?
Like no PlayStation first-party titles like day and date or like things like that. It's
there might be one. There might be one of those. There might be like something like that, but like it's not going to be every single first-party games doing that. It might be something like like a Returnal would be like that'll debut like on something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like what Destruction All Stars is doing on Plus, but they're going to move it more to a other service to keep kind of mix matching. Like okay, you want to pay for this for Plus, you want to pay for this as well. And you want to do this for now. That's what I think Sony's strategy is going to be. Instead of trying to make it all in one package, it's going to be kind of like, can we entice everyone to 3 services?
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
I believe that Microsoft will make one major or indie studio acquisition before the end of 2021. Sony will continue with second-party partnerships and console exclusivity with certain games, but they're not going to move to buy up a studio for first-party joining. I just feel like Microsoft's probably got at least one more in them. At the very least, maybe it's going to be.
What are you feeling, Tom? I want to know. I want to see what that brain says.
It's going to be a Japanese one.
I feel like they really want to push for the Japanese one.
Yeah.
I think they really do. If they end up going with something that's a little bit lighter, I could see them going for potentially the devs of Back 4 Blood. Maybe they want to try to go
Turtle Rock.
Oh, Turtle Rock. From
maybe
Warner
they
Brothers?
want to go. Maybe they want to try to go Turtle Rock at that point, depending on how Back 4 Blood turns out. Because look, having Left 4 Dead a spiritual successor to that, exclusive to Xbox,
Ooh,
that would be pretty big for them.
That's actually a really good point there, Tom. Ooh, I'm interested now.
So
Now I need to know.
So that would be either Japanese or the one Western developer I would say keep an eye on is Turtle Rock.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Back to me. My number 2 prediction for 2021. God of War Ragnarok will release in 2021. How dare you, Mike? It will release in 2021. It will be cross-generational, releasing the same day on PS5 and PS4, PS4 Pro. It will be revealed that you play directly as Atreus for parts of the game, with the character now being a teenager several years older than he was in the first game. I think there will be parts where you only play as Atreus.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be several years older. I think he's going to be the same age. I think it's going to be direct sequel.
Right after that end? Right after
Direct
that
continuation? Well,
Relatively
spoiler
right
alert
after
for the
that
credits, but you do have that scene with Thor But isn't that like revealed to be like a dream or something?
I don't know if they ever
I
actually
think
said
I
what
think
that's
they've
supposed
kind
to be.
of played around with that, saying that it could be a dream, it could not be a dream. Like they're giving themselves a way out on that one, I think, if they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, either
Yeah.
way, coming out 2021, and I do think
Hey,
it's going
this
to be
looks cool.
cross-generational. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, what's
Mike's Mike, I got it. I'll just read Mike's off until he gets back. Mike's second prediction, everyone, is Nintendo will add Super Mario Galaxy 2 to the All Stars title, the collective package they released a couple months ago, as a $30 DLC, or with a new version of the original title, now with 4 games for $60 in April 2021. No one will be happy, but all will buy it.
that would be a big oof. $30 for one add-on
Game.
of Galaxy 2. Like,
Yeah,
ugh.
that would
Yeah.
be. That seems like it's a little much.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah.
That would be really egregious. But
That
you never
would
know with Nintendo.
You never know. Testing the waters. Moving on to my second prediction here, everyone, and it's again, you would say a little like a lame one, but really, system firmware update in early 2021 for PS5 that adds all major features wanted: VRR, ALLM, 1440p, etc., etc. Xbox will further optimize their Xbox dashboard around that time as well. Essentially, pretty much by summer, both systems will have most of their OS problems figured, smoothed out, and most of the returning features for like PlayStation 5, like folders and whatnot, all that stuff will be back, I'm thinking, by summer.
I think
That's
they
what I'm
would have been
thinking.
there at launch if it wasn't for COVID, honestly. I think a lot of these things that seem really weird, like where did this
Weird.
go? Like this used to be here and now it's not. I think that had to do with OS sort of taking a back seat. Just make sure it's smooth and it runs and get the base
Right.
features in there. But otherwise, like we have other things that are more important right now to get, going with PS5
Right.
than the UI. So I agree with you there. I think you're right.
Tom, moving on to you, man.
So I think that my second prediction is that haptic feedback will be one of the few gaming gimmicks this generation to stick around for the long haul. All companies who develop for the PS5 will make sure to work on that part of the experience and not simply just include basic rumble features into their games. And by I mean all companies, I mean all third-party developers. Everybody who will be putting a game out on PS5 will exclusively have haptic feedback things integrated into
Right.
their game. I feel that this is definitely an experience from those of us who have experienced it and felt it. It definitely changes your experience with playing that game. So
Yeah.
I think the developers themselves are extremely excited about this as a prospect for the future of gaming. I wouldn't be shocked if you end up seeing a new Xbox controller that is going to introduce haptic feedback. Like, there's the long and short of where I'm going with this. So definitely look for haptic feedback to be, if no other gimmick this generation survives, I think this is going to be the one.
Yep,
I
I'm
think-
100% with you, and not only that, I hope that's the case as well. It needs to be the
Yeah.
case.
Right.
My number 3 prediction for 2021: Final Fantasy VII Remake will have a definitive edition released post April 10th. It will include an extra Tifa chapter showing her path to pursuing Don Corneo, enhanced visuals and performance, and a special ending teaser for Part 2. The reason I say it's going to be post April 10th is because that is, of course, 1 year after the release of the original game, meaning that it can now release on PS5 and Xbox Series X for the definitive edition.
And that makes sense too. It's actually like a whole other launch, like a whole other title now too. So that actually does make a lot of sense there.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see, those kinks ironed out. I think a lot of that had to do with the PS4, and I think the SSDs are going to completely fix. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they actually redo certain aspects of the game to remove those, I'm going to squeeze through this tunnel here, I'm going to squeeze underneath of this here, that were obviously intended to hide load times. I wonder if they get rid of those moments and just have you just run through them instead, get rid of those hindrances and pacing, because the SSDs will fit that.
Well,
I should say.
with that being said, do you expect there to be a free upgrade for PS4 owners?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I think
I think so.
it'll cost you. It's not going to, wait, did you say free?
I did say free.
No, I don't think it'll be free. I think there will be a path to upgrade, but I don't think it'll be free. I think it'll cost you a little something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then moving on to Mike's third prediction, everyone, is Sony will have deals with more than 5 AAA titles for time exclusive content, including FFXVI and GTA 6, which will be a tease and reveal within 2021. This includes anything from exclusive DLC or even the game only being on PS5 for a time, like 16, for example.
He's got two predictions like kind of hidden in there. One of them being GTA 6 revealed next year. Do we actually believe that could happen?
Kinda, but maybe not. Like it's like a kind of like a 50% chance for me. Like it could not. I know
Yeah, I
it's
don't
kind of
know.
sounds non-committal.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
But
no. I'm gonna be committal and say I don't think it's revealed next year. GTA 6.
Tom, what about you?
So my third prediction. I believe that Google. Now this is a negative prediction here. I believe that Google will ramp down support for Stadia to the point where service will be announced to be going offline within the year due to a combination of competing against Sony and Microsoft, as well as their current legal battles in the West. I'm thinking that the current issues that they're facing in the European Union, specifically in Brussels right now, they're going to be focusing on a lot of time and money on trying to still keep their business afloat as it currently is, without having to potentially break up with all the monopolies that are all of the antitrust suits that are currently already in place, and those that are likely going to be coming out in the U.S. In the coming months and toward a Biden administration. I'm getting a little political here, but it likely will affect the gaming community, I believe, where Stadia will probably have to be one of those things that if Google does end up needing to be broken up slightly, I can easily see that gaming division having to go off by itself. And I don't know, without having Big Daddy Alphabet's money behind it, that it will be able to survive. I don't think and nobody's seen the numbers. Nobody knows how many people are actually using this thing. So
Right.
I don't necessarily see that Stadia is going to survive into 2022. I have my
Vince,
doubts.
let's go back to you. We skipped you by accident there. What is
It's all
your
good.
third prediction?
Again, it's kind of a blame one, but what's going to happen is Halo's multiplayer will debut as early access in spring 2021. It'll be free to play with all the normal monetization models. So, battle pass, like, in-game currency that you would buy skins, things like that, right? This is going to start off small. I honestly think that the team's going to start off small for the sense of they're going to gradually build it up from time. They're really going to make this a big community event. They're going to start off in the small, reboot it, get all these pro players in, get that feedback in, sort of how Valorant kind of launched in a way. You're going to get kind of like that type of momentum if anyone kind of wants to get that in their head. Then they're going to get, start tying esports into it, the Twitch esports, all that stuff. That's going to be a big thing. That's actually was the big strategy for the Halo multiplayer experience for Infinite. And then what the big kicker here is this is going to be a hype machine in the way for the single player launch in fall. So it's just going to be kind of like this big, like long sustained announcement of Halo that we're going to get from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see it happening for sure. It's a good build up. It's a good way to get people involved with Halo again earlier than they're expecting. They can get people back on board. Be like, oh, okay, it's not going to be fall next year. We get to experience Halo a little earlier than that, which would be kind of nice. Welcome back.
Welcome back,
Thank you.
Mike.
Thank you.
All right, we're now going to move on to our hopes and dreams. We did 3 predictions. Vince read off yours for you, Mike. But now we do get to do our hopes and dreams. I'm going to start off here with my hope and dream for 2021. Uncharted will be rebooted, a soft reboot, announced in 2021 from the new PlayStation studio in, I think it's Santa Monica, another one in Santa Monica. It will follow Cassie Drake, and it will include the rest of the Drake family in a smaller capacity. I know a lot of people don't want that. They want them to move on from the Drake family. Sorry. I want more Drake. Shoot me. I don't care. Like that is Uncharted to me. It has to have some type of Drake essence. It doesn't necessarily need to be like the forefront. Like it doesn't need to be Cassie necessarily, but I want it to be Cassie. And I think they have a lot of work ahead of them to figure out how to make that work. Like why would Cassie become an adventurer and treasure hunter? Like I have no idea. That's them to figure out, but I want it to be that. And I want the Drake family to still be involved. Doesn't mean I don't want, Nadine and Chloe. That would be amazing as well. Get them all back on board. But I think they need to like do a time jump and change it up a little bit, make it feel fresh and new in a sort of God of War type way, but still Uncharted, still the Drakes. I think it'll be 100% PS5 exclusive, no cross-generational shenanigans, and it will release in 2022. They're going to reveal the release year as 2022.
All right.
Okay.
That's a good hope. I like it.
Mike,
You know,
your hope and dream.
Yeah.
All right, my hope and dream.
You have none. Just kidding.
Man, it is far-reaching, but I hope and I dream that Fable, whatever the version that Microsoft is concocting, will be playable or in a playable state by the end of 2021 with a release date of mid-2022. On top of that, it will in fact feature a hub world, but the focus will be on single-player story experiences with the option to add in co-op at any point, drop in, drop out, that will not affect your version of the story unless it is in a way that you would like to.
All right.
I hope it's good for you, man. I really do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll feel very sad if you don't get the Fable that you've been waiting for.
Oh man,
Sorry, Mike. I just don't have any faith in it right now. So we'll see.
I don't
See
have
what
faith in
happens.
you, Vince.
Oh, I know. No one does. It's fine.
Vince, the video says no hope or dream found for you.
That's true. I have no
404.
hopes. I have no dreams.
You have no hopes or dreams. You have none.
No hopes and dreams for 2021, to be honest.
No
If 2020 has taught me anything,
Come
it's
on,
not
you
the
got to
hope
come
or
up with
dream.
something.
No, here's my thing. I'm more just looking forward to just 2021. If you want to talk about like an overall thing, I'm hoping that 2021 just kind of goes back, not to a normality, but more to a just like everything kind of relaxes a little bit. Game development, I'm hoping that we get progress, like, from the crunch standpoint. I'm hoping that we get more progress on, like, games not having these disastrous launches or things like that. There's so much collectively there that it's like it's hard to sit there and quantify, like, or sit there and say, oh, this is my one hope and my one dream. It's just more, I just hope prosperous, prosperity for a lot of people, and just not like, again, not going back to return to normal, but like, the lesson has been learned. We will move forward as society, and we'll also move forward with the industry, everything like that. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's too far over the top of everyone's head, but that's kind of what I'm hoping there.
Okay. All right. Something. Tom, round us out here with your...
That's a lot more altruistic than mine is.
Your 2021 hope and dream.
This is my forever hope and dream, is that Nintendo will announce a fresh slate of new games featuring long-dormant franchises. Star Fox, F-Zero, Mother, classic-style Metroid in the Metroidvania 2D style, Kid Icarus, Wave Race, Sin and Punishment, the Wars series, all the things that Nintendo was having sitting on the shelf collecting dust, rusting over. I would love to see a new slate of these games come out, but it wasn't happening under Iwata. It's definitely not happening under this current crew, but it's my hope and dream.
Tom, you and I get along pretty well, and I enjoy that.
I
only
enjoy you
want,
too, Mike.
I only want
that,
one of
that
those
means
games.
a lot to me, really.
I only want one of those games to actually be a thing. Everything else can stay where it is.
Which one is it? Wave Race?
No, Mother.
Mother? Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I can understand. I can
Everything else.
understand
Star
Mother.
Fox came back, wasn't all that fun. F-Zero, we have enough things that are like that now at this point. Classic style Metroid, we have that with the revisions. Kid Icarus had
do
its
we have
time.
a lot of arcade racers though? Do we really
We do.
have arcade racers?
Yeah,
like-
in my opinion, Wipeout does it better.
Like major arcade racers?
Yeah, I think Wipeout
I'm not
does it
talking
better.
like indie ones. I'm talking like actual like AAA arcade racer.
Would
Not
you
not
consider Onrush as an arcade racer? Because Onrush didn't do too well. I guess
Right.
that doesn't really
Nobody
count,
wants
though.
them. No, it
That's
does.
more
It's
like
the same idea. It's the same
But it's a
idea.
hero.
Nobody wants it anymore because it's arcadey, and no one really wants that in the same way that they want things. People have different interests now, and it's just not what people want anymore. And it's goof, and it's fun to actually explore that. But like Mario, believe it or not, Mario Kart 8, in my opinion, handled F-Zero better than a modern day F-Zero would handle itself.
So, Tom, I have to ask, what is with the faith people have in you?
Yeah, I think it's the
people
voice.
I just sell my ideas very well. Is all I
I
can
guess
say.
so. I guess so.
It's confidence.
The
Well, I already
site-
proved them wrong earlier in the NLG's Got Game. Prove them wrong again.
Wow. Wow.
Anyway, guys, we're gonna
Either
go.
that or I'm just bringing in a lot of viewership to the show. So thank you for following it.
I'm going to go to another quick commercial break so that we can get these wheel spins out of the way. We did have a few more to spin for. When we come back, we're going to do our topic of the month. We're going to narrow it down to the top 5 games of the generation, and then we're going to do a very quick speed run, faster than we even planned, so that we can wrap this up hopefully in the next half hour or so. We're already over our time limit. So hold on tight. Duroc will be back in a couple minutes. Welcome back to Season 0, Episode 2 of Next Level Gamescast, a Level Up Network's monthly gaming talk show live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Level Up Show on the third Sunday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode, hit that heart button, and turn on notifications so you get alerts whenever we go live with either variety gaming or talk shows. If you're watching or listening to an archive, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and of course, become a part of the community even when we are not live on Discord at discord.gg/Level Up Network. We're going to move on and round out our seasonal segment. Last month on episode 1, we determined our top 10 games of the generation each. And I think first we should quickly, very quickly, rapid fire off those top 10 so people remember where we started. We're going to then bring this down, narrow it all down to a top 5 consensus games of the generation. I will start with my top 10 from last month, from 10 to 1. Undertale, Hollow Knight, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Bloodborne, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. And in the top 5, Uncharted 4, Thief's End, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, God of War, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and my number 1 game of the generation, The Last of Us Part 2. Mike, what about you?
From 10 to 1 as well, we are going with the Dragon Quest 11, then SteamWorld Dig 2, Final Fantasy XV, Mario Odyssey, God of War, right? And then top 5 of the generation, in my opinion, are Ori and the Blind Forest 2, Will and the Wisp.
That's not how it's called, but go ahead.
It's exactly how it's called, Andrew. Zelda, Beasts of the Wild, Destiny at
big
number
beasts
3.
For big boys.
Overwatch for number 2, and my absolutely obscure and on nobody else's list top game is Diablo 3.
Very nice. An interesting list. Very different from everybody else. Vince, go ahead.
For me, from top, bottom to top as well. Number 10, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. Number 9, Destiny. Number 8, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Number 7, Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. Number 6, God of War. 5, Monster Hunter World. 4, Disco Elysium. Number 3, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Number 2, Death Stranding. Number 1, The Last of Us Part 2. Yes. Tom, on to you.
Are we here just to suffer?
Yes,
we are.
It's MGS5, number 10 for me. Doom 2016 at 9. At number 8, Fortnite. Number 7, Horizon Zero Dawn. 6, we have Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which brings me to my top 10. At number 5, we have Bloodborne. Number 4, we have Titanfall 2. Please play Titanfall 2. Resident Evil 2 Remake is at the number 3 spot. Number 2, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes. And rounding out my number 1 choice of the game of generation, I've already said it, it's God of War.
Very nice. So what's interesting about this top 40, it turned out, between the 4 of us, is that it wasn't top 40. There was only 29 games that we actually listed because there was that much overlap. We had 11 games that came off the list due to overlap. So I looked at those 29 games, and only 9 of them showed up on both of our lists. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yep.
So
on all of our lists.
On all of our lists, only 1 game did. There was 8 games that showed up on 2 lists, and there was 1 game that showed up on all 4 lists.
Right.
So we only had 29 games that were actually said in those top 10s. Now, considering where they all fall, I decided to provide points to games. This is to help us have a good starting point here. So, for instance, Tom, you gave God of War your number 1 spot. 10 points there. I gave The Last of Us Part 2 my number 1 spot. 10 points there. But Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on Vince's list at number 10, that only got 1 point. So here are the top 9 from games that overlapped on our list from points. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain on 2 lists with 4 points. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on 2 lists with 6 points. Destiny on 2 lists with 10 points. Bloodborne on 2 lists with 10 points. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice on 2 lists with 11 points. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on 2 lists with 14 points, 7 and 7 from me and Mike. Final Fantasy VII Remake on 2 lists with 18 points, me and Tom, 9 points each. Last of Us Part 2 on 2 lists, 20 points, because both me and Vince listed it as our number 1 game of the generation. But there was 1 game that showed up on all 4 of our lists, and pretty high on all of them as well. God of War was on all 4 lists and got 28 points. So,
wow.
First thing I want to do is go to each of you, and is there any game that you really want to fight for, even though it wasn't on anybody else's list? Is there any game that you really want to fight for and say this needs to be in consideration, even though nobody else considered it?
Yes.
No, I'm good.
Of course,
Mike has
Mike
something.
does.
Mike does.
Mike, what do you want to fight for?
I
do you
have
wanna fight
two,
for?
and I'm deciding. Give me a second.
No, you gotta say it now on the spot.
Right now.
Vince, nobody likes you.
I'm trying to keep this segment short, Mike. Come on.
You know what? You guys can all kill me. I don't care. I'm going to go with Overwatch.
You want Overwatch on there?
That's,
I'm not
I think
surprised.
That's fair. That's
100%
fair to
deserved.
argue, considering how much of a cultural phenomenon that became.
So Overwatch was your number 2, and you think it deserves in the overall top 5 of the generation between the four of us?
I absolutely do. Like, without even a question.
But in that
Back.
respect, I would say over that, then I would say Fortnite, because Fortnite I think is bigger than Overwatch.
I think to both of you, I say over my dead body.
What's the argument? I'm sorry. Skype completely died on me. I
I
apologize.
saw that. I think Overwatch 100% deserves to be on our top 10. Tom
Top
says
5.
that-
Top 5.
I'm sorry.
Let's make this right here. This is top 5 games of the generation between the four of us. None of us,
Yeah.
no other person besides you has it on their list, Mike.
So here's the thing. No one else has it on their list because realistically, Drew, you don't play good games like that. Vince
Wow.
just never really got into it in the same way. And Tom, I don't think that's really your type of game, although you do appreciate games of that
Oh
stature.
no, I
can
played the shit
appreciate
out of
you.
Overwatch, man.
Did you?
I mean, I platinumed it.
It is killing it in so many different aspects. Fortnite, yes, has this cultural phenomenon, but I'm talking about the core game itself. Was made with something in mind, and the overall direction and attention to detail of every single thing they do. It is one of the most consistently tuned multiplayer games that I've ever seen, as well as every single seasonal event. Not even hitting it on point. They're actually continuing to do new seasonal events with giving constant new free characters DLC. They haven't made you pay another dime if you didn't want to, and that includes loot boxes. You can unlock everything without paying a dime to them, but the gameplay is on point every single time, and they do try to listen to community feedback as best as possible, and give the players what they want, and when they don't, they respond to it pretty appropriately. So I don't.
Okay, I think we need to keep this in consideration. I hate you for doing it, Mike. But like, let's try and like narrow it down. And I think like if we get the top 5, then it becomes okay. Like if Mike really wants this on there, what's the game that comes off, if any, right?
Sekiro.
So, okay, we'll see.
No.
We'll see. We'll see if Sekiro even makes the top 5. Hold on. So, can we all agree that God of War is without a doubt making it on top 5?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's on all 4 of our lists. And for most of us, it's in our top 5. So God of War is on the list. It's going to make it. Another one that I think is very likely to make it is The Last of Us Part 2, because there's no way in hell I'm not letting that on the list. Sorry.
Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2 is the number 1 for both Vince and I.
It wasn't on my list, but I can completely understand why it would be in the top.
Yeah,
5.
I'm not going to fight you too hard, but if it kicks out other games, I'm definitely going to make the case for it, though.
Okay. I would fight pretty hard for Breath of the Wild as well, being on.
I 100% am with you on that one. I think that one.
But the problem is that just the 2 of us have it, Mike. Just me and you.
I'm perfectly fine with you having it up there because A, it's a Nintendo game, so I think one Nintendo game should be represented in the top 5.
Okay.
And even though I didn't really play a whole lot of it, I can understand and appreciate from watching other people play it and hearing reviews and everything else like that. I can understand why it needs to be up there. I can't make a case for it either way personally because I didn't play it, but from everything that I've been hearing and, as a student of the industry, I would say yes.
Student of the industry. Okay, another thing we can do real quick of the overlapping games, I think we can knock off Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yes.
Okay.
We can knock off Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Yes.
Yep.
Don't you do it?
I do really like it.
Say it.
I do really like it. But
Don't say it.
It's my number 6, so it didn't even make it into my top 5. So, Destiny,
Don't say
it can be knocked off.
I don't know.
It's
if Destiny
hard,
can be knocked
guys.
off.
All
I don't
three of
think
us.
that-
Wait a second.
I don't think Destiny can be knocked off, unfortunately,
Yes,
because
thank you.
Here's the thing.
Wait a second,
Mike,
guys,
I
hold
would
on
say
a second.
Destiny before Red Dead
Vince, you don't even have it in
Redemption
your
2.
top 5. The only person that even has it in their top 5 is Mike.
Yes.
I know.
Come on home, guys. Bring it home.
But
Let's
here's
go.
the thing: Destiny
Let's do it.
has such an implication to where, like, Mike just argued for Overwatch. No,
Because
Destiny
of the implication.
is everything that every Games of the Service is judged by. That game changed the social landscape of everything. Overwatch didn't touch that. Destiny did that. So the thing is, like, you have to kind of keep that in consideration for what Destiny is as a marker on the industry. This game launched with a generation and is still going with the generation.
Let me float this. Let me float this out there for you guys.
We're not finishing this episode by midnight.
Shut up. God.
Oh, hell yeah. 2 hours of sleep for Tom.
Oh,
God of
poor
War.
Tom.
Last of Us Part 2, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Overwatch, and Destiny are top 5. I don't know the order, but those are in the top 5.
I think that there is one. If it's either between Overwatch or Destiny, if you guys want your like games as a service shooter on there, okay.
Who
like,
are you?
I'm not gonna fight you guys on that, but I don't think you get both Destiny and Overwatch on this list of top
Why?
5. No
Why?
way
Because you
in
play
hell, dude. No way in hell. Considering what else is on this list, do you put both Destiny and Overwatch in the top 5 games of the generation?
I don't think you put both of them up there, but one of them has to be up there. And if I were to choose between either of those, personally, I still think I would put Fortnite for all the reasons that Mike said. Fortnite's an even bigger cultural phenomenon than Overwatch is.
I would agree with that. If you want a games as a
I'm
service
not
shooter
going
on
for
here, it probably should
cultural
be Fortnite.
phenomenon. I'm going for best game of the generation. We're not
Well,
going with that. I mean,
best
why don't we
best
put
game
Among
of
Us
the
on there?
game of the generation to me is much more over-encompassing than just whether or not we personally enjoyed the game.
Well,
I
let's
think
put Among Us on
it
there.
has to say like where it is within the general gaming conversation.
Okay,
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
let's table this. We'll put a pin in that. Vince, Tom, between Sekiro and Bloodborne, which one of those should be in consideration, if any?
The only thing I can speak for is Bloodborne because I played that one. I didn't play Sekiro, so it's tough for me to say.
Okay. I think
it would be
personally, I would put Sekiro.
It would be Sekiro.
Yeah, I
Sekiro.
think not by a lot personally.
I would
but
defer to the two people who played both.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love Bloodborne. I think actually most people would say Bloodborne. If you like went like wide consensus, it'd probably be Bloodborne.
Right.
Between Vince and I think Sekiro is a little higher for me. So
I
I
agree.
guess that one would be the one maybe in consideration. So we got God of War. We got Last of Us Part 2. We got Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
I doubt I'm going to be able to get this. It's me and you, Tom, like fighting for 7 Remake here.
I think it's got to be 7 Remake. 7 Remake has to be up there.
Nope.
It really does. I mean,
I am fighting against that one. Sorry.
It was such a
Okay game. You're right. It was.
it was more than an okay game, and the fact that it actually delivered on all of the hype that it had built up.
Did it though?
It did.
Because I'm
it
still
did.
waiting for the
Look at the
Tetris.
wide consensus
It
on that game.
It did. It 100% did. It did. Like we knew what we were going to get. We knew that this was only going to be part 1 of the entirety of Final Fantasy VII, but beyond just going that, plus it created like Drew. I mean, we had this conversation before. I have not felt the speculation of this game or of games like this since like Metal Gear Solid was at its height.
I know, it's awesome. It's so cool to be back in like that frame of mind, like the Lost days, and then like you said, the Metal Gear Solid days, where all the conspiracy theories and all the different predictions and like what's going on behind the scenes. Like it's cool. It's just a lot of fun to be a part of. But beyond that, like it's the best action RPG combat system I've ever played. Best presentational quality I've ever seen in a Japanese RPG. It just like I was smiling from ear to ear with that game, man. It's just really one of my favorite experiences of the entire generation.
And it was a great way to reintroduce people to what Final Fantasy VII is.
No, I'm not saying I'm going to fight for
I'm
as
not
game of the
the
generation,
same
Dark
way
Passenger, but
about Resident Evil 2 remake for that matter. But I would say that Final Fantasy VII is the better of those 2 remakes.
yeah. Like
Well,
if I had to fight
you know
between
what,
Sekiro and 7 Remake, I would fight for 7 Remake.
No, and that's obvious. Listen, I'm not doubting, for that. But I mean, I could have just gone on the same, diatribe about Diablo 3 and Ori, Will of the Wisps. That doesn't mean that to me, Ori one of my favorite games this gen. Is it in top 10, for the general consensus gaming? No. And in my opinion, no offense, I don't think Final Fantasy VII Remake is either. I think it's a good game. I think it's a fine game, and I appreciate those who really connected with it. But to me, there were so many parts which just felt like I was pushing myself to get through it, and I'm not alone in that aspect.
No, but you can find somebody who says that for every single one of these games. Of course, you're not alone because there's a million people who play these games, so that doesn't mean anything.
I agree, but again, I'm saying the same thing. There are people that could say the same thing about Ori. There are people who could say the same thing about Spelunky. There are people who could say the same thing about any of the games that are out there. Undertale, hell, Hollow Knight is at the top of the generation for many, many, many.
Here's what I see happening.
I mean, Mike, we could be having that argument all night long, and some people saying that Desert Bus is the greatest game that was ever
Here's what
made.
I see happening.
Right.
I mean, we each have a game that we're really fighting to get on the list, and one that we all agree should be on the list, God of War. So if we take it into account, God of War is on the list. Both Vince and I both want The Last of Us Part 2, so we've got an overlap there. But then it's Breath of the Wild. Mike, are you fighting for that one, or are you fighting for Overwatch?
Hold on. Wait, what?
If we all had one game that we're fighting to get on the list, are you fighting more for Breath of the Wild, or are you fighting more for Overwatch?
Well, I absolutely listen. I think Breath of the Wild is absolutely 100% better than Overwatch or Destiny or Fortnite.
I agree.
That doesn't mean I don't think that those three shouldn't be on there, but I also don't think that Fortnite should be on
there.
there.
Right, but we are making compromises here. That's the whole point of this. So if you had one game that you really wanted on the list, it would be Breath of the Wild, right?
Listen, here's my take. Honestly, I don't think Last of Us or Final Fantasy VII Remake should be on the top 10 list or on the top 5 list at all whatsoever.
Asinine.
I'm conceding. That's fine. I'm conceding one of those slots in my personal opinion. And if you guys want to choose Last of Us over Final Fantasy VII, I think that's a smarter choice because I do think it's a great game. But however, that's the same type of ultimatum that you're giving me with all these other things. So pick one. Which would you pick, Last of Us or Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Well, Vince also wants Last of Us Part 2, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, Last of Us Part 2 is.
But me and Tom.
This is not a one person thing.
Listen, you and Tom Drew want Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, so we got two there.
You and Vince want Last of Us.
That's two there. There's only one person that wants Overwatch. That's you.
I mean, listen, if you guys want to have the same type of list as everybody else does with no diversity or anything like that, that's fine. You enjoy your, same.
As I said, I think that you need to choose one or the other for sure, though. Like that we really need to fight for here. If one game's a service, is it Fortnite, is it Overwatch, or is it Destiny? Because I really think it should be one.
Destiny and I don't think Overwatch are nearly the same thing. They're completely different aspects of gaming. I wouldn't even consider for a moment putting them together.
I agree with you, Mike, on the whole diversity thing. But if you're going to go in that aspect, if you're going to go into like that division of gaming, I think you have a hard time making any argument for any game other than Fortnite. I understand for you personally, like it would be your game of the generation to say Overwatch. But if you actually had to look at the brass tacks of the cultural importance of the game, of where it currently still is within the zeitgeist. And look, you just gushed earlier in the show about Master Chief showing up in this thing, where it's literally turned into Ultimate Battle of Ultimate Destiny.
Will we ever let it down if we put Fortnite on our top 5?
That's going on there
in this community.
I'm just saying that if we're going to have a legitimate argument about Overwatch is there, then immediately
I see it.
That is going to have to be Fortnite.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong.
Like if I understand if Mike wants to throw Overwatch in there, but if Mike is arguing that he wants to have a games as a service shooter in there, it has to be Fortnite. It's not Overwatch.
I mean, here's the thing. Realistically, over those 3 games, I think Destiny deserves that spot. Destiny 1 in particular.
Vince, what do you think? Because you brought up Destiny earlier too. Would you agree with Mike that you want Destiny? If you had a choice between Overwatch, Destiny, and Fortnite being on this top 5, would it be Destiny?
It would be Destiny. I said it before. Destiny changed the entire service model of all those games. Division is compared to Destiny.
But then Fortnite changed it too with season passes.
So I get that. So like Fortnite has got more of the cultural phenomenon though, but you take the cultural phenomenon of Fortnite, what do you get? You get nothing. That's the problem with that. Right. So I get what you're saying there, but Destiny is actually from an implication from game design, from game delivery. That is what changed that game. Something like Destiny made Fortnite possible. That's kind of where the argument sits there. You sit there and say Fortnite is a better game, maybe, but the thing is, you have to.
Arma
right, like,
it was made Fortnite possible.
Right, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. For not only that, PUBG and also a failed original design for Fortnite, or not failed, but a very lackluster
Tower defense. That's what it was before.
Fun game. I bought it when it was actually viable for Save the World, before it was Save the World and it was just called Fortnite. So I was invested from the get-go.
Comeback of the generation is Fortnite.
I mean, here's the thing. In my opinion, God of War, Breath of the Wild are 100% locks for this list, without a doubt. I think those are the two guaranteed in there. In my opinion, I think Destiny deserves to be in there. I understand your push for Last of Us Part 2 in there, but I really just can't get behind the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay, so we got God of War, Last of Us Part 2, Breath of the Wild. I would say those are... I think we're going to wind up with those in the top 5.
I think we can boot Red Dead.
That's not even here.
Yes. Not even here.
Not even here.
Well, I'm just looking at there because it was in the poll.
Yeah. No, it's in the poll because we're kind of the outliers there, right?
Yeah.
Same with GTA 5, we're outliers. So can we agree? God of War, Last of Us Part 2, and Breath of the Wild. Can we lock those in?
100%. I am behind that.
We got 3. Okay, we got 3 locked in. Okay. So it feels like it's coming down to Sekiro, Destiny, and 7 Remake is what it feels like it's coming down to. So we got 3 games and 2 spots left. So that's not bad, actually. So we got to knock one of those out. Right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Do we want to let the community decide?
No, we do not. No. This is ours.
We do not want to let the community decide anything
That's the worst
ever again. That is the worst choice that you can give.
Okay.
So come in here with Master Hand of video game.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. So I guess we go down the list here. Let's go round table style and say the 2 games we think of the 3 should be on the list. Vince, you first.
Oh God, why would you do that to me? For me, it would be Destiny and Sekiro.
Okay, Tom?
I would say Final Fantasy and Destiny.
Got 2 for Destiny. Mike?
Destiny.
You didn't even play Sekiro, you asshole.
and Overwatch.
I didn't. Overwatch is not in the running. You have to say between Sekiro and 7 Remake, and you know which one it is. You won't even like Sekiro.
Sekiro.
You're an asshole.
Well,
it doesn't matter anyway, because I'm going to say 7 Remake and Destiny, because I'll allow.
You want to know why?
Clearly, it's happening.
Sekiro, honestly, because what I watched of it actually made me want to play it, whereas what I played of Final Fantasy VII made me not.
Wow,
that doesn't make sense. But
I think that's it. Oh my God.
Okay, so Destiny's on there.
Yeah.
Okay. It's now between 7 Remake and Sekiro. So we're gonna go through us again here. We're gonna go through us again here. Vince, Sekiro or Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Sekiro.
Okay. Tom, Sekiro, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Final Fantasy VII.
It's gonna be a tie. Shit. It's gonna be a tie.
Yep.
Because Mike's gonna vote for a game he hasn't even played. Damn it.
So then I will compromise.
Do we have?
So we can just move on.
Do we have
Final
an
Fantasy
RNG
VII Remake?
Do we have an
Just do
RNG
it.
function?
No.
An RNG script?
We're just done. I'm
It's,
taking
you
my
know
vote
for
out,
a fact
and
it
I'm
is
switching
not
over
Final Fantasy VII,
Remake.
and you're doing it to troll. You know for a fact.
I mean, I would 100%
Vince
get Destiny off there and put Sekiro if it was my choice. I'm with Vince here. I want Sekiro on this top 5.
Vince, you know for a fact that you actually enjoyed Sekiro more than 7 Remake, and you want to know why I can tell you that? Yeah. Because I have it in our chat, and I will go and find it.
I know,
for you.
Mike. You don't even have to. It's literally in the top 10. 7 Remake isn't even in his top 10. So obviously, Sekiro is better to him than 7 Remake. And Sekiro is a million times better to me than Destiny. I get what you're talking about as far as like what it means for the gaming landscape, but as far as like I'm voting on this on like what the best game is. That's my rationale.
I think Destiny is a better game.
That's fine. But I'm definitely voting on what I think is the better game. I don't feel right about Vince giving in though.
Oh no, I just want to get moving on. I mean, like it comes down to like that whole brass tacks. I mean, I guess in a way, it's just I don't know. Like it's just hard. I feel like we're not gonna get a resolution here, to be honest. So like I'll just be that bigger person and just say, yeah, Final Fantasy 7 remake. Let's move on. Like,
No, I will be
like
the bigger person, and I will say Sekiro.
Oh, God.
I won't allow you to do this, Vince.
Well, you make the show, Andrew, so it's up to you.
I think you guys all know 7 Remake would be on there for me, but I'm okay with it. Unless you really are upset by that, Tom. I know you didn't play Sekiro.
I didn't play Sekiro, so I can't vote for it. That's my only thing.
Yeah. I think I hate to do it. I think it deserves to be there, but I will give in, and I think if you guys agree, I think the top 5 should be Destiny, 4 Sekiro, 3 Breath of the Wild, 2 Last of Us Part 2, 1 God of War.
I am fine with
I'd
that.
switch 2 and 3 personally, but that's just me.
I don't think seeding matters for this personally.
I don't think so either personally.
Yeah.
I think when I came up with it, I said we should just do top 5 because this is where we would literally argue forever.
Yeah.
Okay. There you have it. Those are the Level Up Networks, Next Level Gamescast, top
No
5
order.
games of the generation in no order. According,
Aside from
can we
God
all
of War
agree
being
God of
one.
War should be the number 1? Come on, it was on all 4 of our lists.
Yeah.
And
It was on all 4 lists, so that that definitely speaks to the power of that title.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think God of War should be named by us as the top game of the generation. It was on all 4 of our lists. Number 1 for Tom, number 3 for me. For Mike, or sorry, Vince, it was number 6, and for Mike, it was number 6 as well. So 1, 3, 6, and 6.
Yeah,
I think that deserves to be game of the generation as a consensus between us. So there you have it. All right,
there we go.
we can move on. It is done.
We can do it.
And we can.
All right,
I'm going to
here
go
we
through
go.
this so damn fast. You have no
Micro
idea, Tom.
Machines, man, do this.
But what I'm going to say is the way we are doing this before speedrun, we're going to say the number of stories and what we hope to finish it in, like an actual speedrun. We're doing 19 stories tonight for the speedrun, and my hope is that we finish this in 20 minutes or less, and I think we're going to have no problem doing that because I'm going to fly. I'm going to fly, baby. Are we ready? First up,
Let's do it.
Oscar Isaac is Solid Snake, Vince.
Cool.
Yes.
You
I'm
cool with
excited.
that?
That's
I think it's a
amazing.
great choice. I'm
I
really
think it's
happy
great.
with
That's
it.
awesome.
The mock-ups look great.
And to anybody
Yep.
who didn't know, he actually campaigned for this a while back.
did.
Oh, did he? I
So
didn't
that
know
makes
that.
me
Yeah,
excited.
he wanted
that makes
this.
me even more excited. Yeah.
And I think it shows that they have the right mind behind this. They're putting a pretty big name. This guy's in Dune. This guy's in Star Wars. I mean, he's going to be in the Marvel Universe. So awesome. That is a great choice. I'm really excited for Oscar Isaac and that movie. Moving on from that. Internal Sony documents show single player is thriving. We're not surprised by this, I would imagine. But Vice said, quote, the company's own data showed that people were spending more time playing single player games, but struggled making it a part of their schedule. This is actually what led to them doing the card system because they wanted to find a way to get people into games faster, especially these single player games. And you can see it with things like Miles Morales. You can actually jump between Miles Morales and the original Spider-Man like they're the same game because of the card
Yeah.
system. That is the
Yeah.
power of that. And it shows, I think, where Sony's mind is at. And I think it's not a really surprise, right? Like that is
I
what their
haven't
bread
used
and
the
butter
card
is.
yet.
You haven't used a card yet? Dude, check it out. It's actually really cool. It's a really great system. I loved it for Astrobot especially. It was so great being able to see where I lost the lead and then jump right back in. Casey Hudson and Mark Dara have both left BioWare. This is the second time for Casey Hudson. IGN writes, EA has announced that Casey Hudson, the general manager of BioWare, and Mark Dara, the executive producer on the upcoming Dragon Age, will be departing the company. All currently ongoing projects, including Anthem Next, the next Dragon Age, and the Mass Effect Legendary Edition remasters among them, will continue as planned. Hudson said, it's not an easy decision for me to make, and big changes like this always come with a certain degree of sadness. I will miss being able to work every day with our inspiring developers on the biggest and most exciting projects I can imagine, but I also know that this is a good time for change, both myself and BioWare. It's profound and humbling to look back on decades-long career and think about the things we've achieved together. It's hard to make the decision to move on, but I'm excited for what's next for all of us. Dara said, this has been a very difficult decision to make. The team of amazing developers on Dragon Age make my life fuller and better. They have taught me so much, but the strength of the team is also what makes this possible. I know that Dragon Age won't just survive without me. He says it will thrive. Do we believe him?
No.
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 Oh
No,
wow, jeez.
it's him not wanting to burn bridges. But come on, this is
Yeah.
Both
this
of
is
them.
the slowest car wreck I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
So do we think there's drama and controversy behind the scenes here with Casey Hudson leaving
There's
again and all that?
Been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
been. There was controversy before he left the first time. There was controversy as he left the first time. There was controversy as he came back this first time, and there was controversy again the second time. The BioWare, honestly, is a dumpster fire.
Wow.
I don't think anybody in there knows what they're doing because it's been said nobody in there knows what they're doing, and too many hands are in the fucking pot in this one. EA needs to get their hands out.
Okay. Moving on from that. Square Enix lost $67 million on Marvel's Avengers.
No reason why that game should have been games as a service.
Insane.
Well,
Insane.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of marketing went into this. COVID especially, they're trying to make up for that with extreme marketing. They lost a lot of money there. They're saying that next year, when they start building this thing back up again, when it comes out on PS5 and Xbox Series X, that they're going to make that money back. Do we believe them?
we'll see.
No.
No.
They have to do everything by March.
Dean was
everything by
one of their
March.
biggest apologists, and even he doesn't care to play it right now. He hasn't touched the free Kate Bishop DLC.
Can you imagine fumbling the Avengers IP? Holy
Yes, I
crap,
saw it
dude.
happen.
I know, but I
we
like,
saw how
like,
EA
what?
fumbled the Star Wars IP. I mean,
Right.
it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
we've seen people fumble IPs constantly.
IO Interactive has announced Project 007, Vince. It will
Ooh,
feature a
I'm so
wholly
excited.
original Bond story exclusively as a video game, one in which players must earn their 00 status, the studio said. You excited?
I'm super excited. I'm just
Over
hoping
under
it's not
7.
a Hitman. I'm just hoping it's not a Hitman skin
Okay.
over James Bond. That's the one thing I'm really hoping that they don't do.
Over under 75 on Metacritic.
Is that a question to
Over.
Vince?
Anybody over under 75?
I think
on
it'll be
Metacritic.
over. I think it'll be over for
I
sure.
think
I
it'll
think
be
it'll
over.
be over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I think it'll be
gonna
over 8,
Really
actually.
optimistic.
Yep, I think it'll be over 8.
IO is good.
Yeah, I
You know,
think IO
just
is very
think back
strong.
to that last Bond game that came out on the PS2. That was pretty good. I can't remember it. I think it had Willem
Nightfire?
Dafoe in it.
Nightfire.
No,
I mean,
it wasn't
you guys-
Nightfire. It was
you mean
it was
Everything
another
or
one that had
Nothing?
Jaws in it.
Everything or nothing, wasn't it?
They're
Everything or
messing up
Nothing.
my speed run. Xbox
I know.
does not plan on putting all Bethesda content, pulling all Bethesda content from Sony and Nintendo. This came from MSCFO Tim Stewart, who said, let me put a poll in the chat here. What we'll do in the long run is we don't have intentions of just pulling all of the Bethesda content out of Sony or Nintendo or otherwise. But what we want is we want that content in the long run to be either first or better or best. You pick on your differentiated experience on our platforms. We will want Bethesda content to show up the best as on our platforms. So we might actually get Elder Scrolls and Fallout and all that on PS5. What do you guys
We'll
think?
get the Cyberpunk 2077 version of Elder Scrolls on PS5. Congrats, guys. We win.
I mean, I think, honestly, as long as it comes out, even if it's a little bit inferior, people will be happy that it came out at all. That's
My
better than
my
it could
thing
have
has
been.
always been that I didn't think Sony would allow any of those games on their platforms because they
Yeah.
don't want to see Xbox Game Studios or Microsoft Game Studios before any of those games.
That is a
Interesting
variable,
point.
for sure. That is a variable. Moving on, how developers are paid for putting their game on Game Pass. We've been wanting to know this for a long time, and it's actually a little bit surprising. It's an interview here. He said, how do you pay out developers? I'm a developer. I make a game. I say, I'm going to put it on Game Pass. Like, customer pays you $14.99 a month. How do you decide how much to pay me, the developer? And they said, Microsoft, our deals are, I'll say, all over the place. I think this is Phil Spencer, actually. That sounds unmanaged, but it's really based on the developer's need. One of the things that's been cool to see as a developer, usually a smaller to mid-sized developer might be starting a game and say, hey, we're willing to put this in Game Pass on our launch day if you guys will give us X dollars now. What we can do is we'll create a floor for them in terms of success of their game. They know they're going to get this return. So right off the bat, that's kind of surprising. I don't think people thought it would be this unmanaged. And I'm not saying that it's bad. Like, just because it's unmanaged doesn't mean it's poor. I just thought that there was going to be more of like a system there, right, Vince?
Yeah, this is the one part I think anyone in the community has realized that I've always had an issue with is the management of how they're doing this. And if this keeps expanding as fast as it does, I'm worried about it's all coming and crashing down.
Right.
That's what I'm really truly worried about.
I agree. I agree with you. The fact that like it's all over the place and there's so many variables, I feel like they need to have a system in place that is a little bit more linear than that in order for this to succeed in the long run. But obviously, it's doing very well for them right now. But I do think they're in that infancy, they're in that growing state, and they are just throwing everything at it, right? And obviously, it's going to succeed when you're throwing, hey, here's Disney Plus, here's this, oh, and this new, and you can have everything under Horizon. Like the question is like, what's it going to be in 3 years? Are they going to pull back any of that? Is the subscription price going to go up? Is it going to stay the same where every developer has their own price? Like that's what I wonder more about is a long run for Game Pass and what their plan is. Jim Ryan cannot confirm that God of War Ragnarok will be PS5 exclusive.
I hate this.
This is why my prediction earlier said that I think it'll be cross-generational myself.
Ugh.
I really do. I think it'll be cross-generational. What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. This just depresses me.
Does it?
Yes, extremely.
Yeah.
We need to stop this. I mean, listen, I get it, but at the same time, we've had unique games come out for a brand new system that not everybody was able to get or afford or find yet. And I understand how that might be infuriating to some, but at the same time, you're owed nothing. Technology changes and moves on. You need to accept that and let us move on as well.
Tom, real quick, do you think God of War Ragnarok comes out on PS4?
No.
Okay, interesting.
I think the game's going to be completely developed for PS5.
Cool. I hope so.
Let's hope.
Nomura wants a new story for the future Kingdom Hearts. Yes, please. He says, quote, I intend to tie up remaining loose ends, but also want to change the format a bit. I want to drastically change the world and tell a new story, but also tie up the loose ends. If we make a Kingdom Hearts game for next-gen consoles, it's going to be released after many other companies have already released their title. So I believe we'd have to make something that could compete. Of course, it's only hypothetical series. We haven't announced that there will be a new title for PS5 or Xbox Series X, but 2022 will be the 20th anniversary. So we're working to deliver good news. I hope you'll keep an eye on us until then. Please.
No Disney, no buy.
Start over, completely fresh. Get rid of everything. Just start over. I'm okay with Sora coming back, but have it like Sora in like an alternate dimension, like and all that. Just start completely fresh when it comes to all that. But I'm okay with Sora coming back, actually.
Now instead of it
no
being Disney, now it's WB.
Who knows?
Warner Brothers.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Guys,
You're going Spoon Squad, baby.
it's official. The Last of Us series gets its HBO greenlight.
Cool.
Wow.
This show is happening. We have a synopsis too, actually. The story takes place 20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed. Joel, a hardened survivor, is hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressive quarantine area. What starts as a small job soon becomes a brutal, heartbreaking journey as they both must traverse across the U.S. and depend on each other for survival. They are not changing it up at all. It is just The Last of Us Part 1 as a TV series. Do you think they eventually get to season 2 being, or season whatever being Part 2?
I think they're going to do 4 seasons, 1 for each season.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Like
that
a
would be
season
cool.
from the
That
game,
would have-
like fall, winter. Yeah. That would be cool.
Mhm.
I would be down for
6
that.
seasons in a movie.
Please.
There we
Guys, PlayStation 5 has had the biggest console launch in history. They said,
That's
quote,
insane.
we want to thank gamers everywhere for making the PS5 launch our biggest console launch ever. Demand for PS5 is unprecedented. So we wanted to confirm that more PS5 inventory will be coming to retailers before the end of the year. Please stay in touch with your local retailers. Matt Piscatella, he is an analyst for NPD, has also said PlayStation 5 achieved the highest launch month unit and dollar sales for a video game hardware platform in U.S. history. The previous record was PS4 in November of 2013. That being said, November Switch actually outsold PS5 for November NPD, but that's not too much of a surprise, right? I mean, supply constraints and all that. I think if PS5 was not supply constrained, it probably would have taken the month.
Most
of
likely.
November. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's answering the polls in the chat, but I'll put it up anyway. Do you have a PS5? Let us know in the chat. Next up, Square Enix is now allowing permanent work from home. This is really cool. This is one of the ramifications of COVID that's actually nice. Rather than utilizing work from home solely as a means of preventing infections during the current pandemic, the company will establish it as a permanent and core program among the working styles it accommodates. In so doing, the company hopes not only to create a flexible and diverse working environment, but also to further bolster productivity and help employees achieve the optimal work-life balance. What's good about this is Square Enix is a Japanese studio. Those are sort of the last ones you expect to adopt a permanent work from home, relationship. So for them to do that means that we might see some others follow suit, and we might see, hopefully, if COVID continues, them being able to better perform. And God forbid, if there were to ever be another pandemic, we're all going to be set up better for the work from home, arrangement and environment. Personally, myself, I don't see myself going back, even when this is all over, going back to like a full time status, like in the office. So I think the world is forever changed when it comes to that. We'll see.
Oh, there's definitely a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Project Athia 2 will be a 2-year PS5 timed exclusive, according to their recent new and upcoming games video. You had to look at the disclaimers at the bottom, but it said 2 years. That's huge. Like, why even release it on another console at that point?
Yeah.
Right. That's very
I saw how much that hurt Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, that was only 1 year.
And that was only 1 year, and it was significantly detrimental to its release on the PlayStation console.
That's pretty wild.
I think this is just dumb to not making it completely exclusive at this point.
Also, on top of that, Gran Turismo 7 did not have the PS4 disclaimer at the bottom, whereas Horizon and all those did. So that kind of implies that Gran Turismo 7 is probably going to be PS5 only. I'm surprised at that. I actually thought for sure GT7 would be one of the cross-gen ones. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's promising. Also potentially pushed back to late 2021 though, if you go by the disclaimers on that video for Gran Turismo 7. Moving on, J.J. Abrams, Bad Robot, their production company, has also launched an internal game studio. VentureBeat writes, J.J. Abrams' film company Bad Robot has launched its own game studio. It's called Bad Robot Game Studios, and actually veteran game creator behind titles such as Valve's Left 4 Dead, Michael Booth, will be a part of that. Also, you got Oculus leader Anna Sweet, and I think that's it as far as we know right now. But they've actually dabbled before, J.J. Abrams specifically, in video game development. So you can see on screen right now, actually, they were talking with Jeff Keighley about something in the past. But hey, I like J.J. Abrams. I like Bad Robot. So cool to have more people on board. Yeah. Next up, Wolf Among Us 2 will actually not release episodically.
Ugh.
How do we feel about that?
I don't like it.
Don't love it.
No, you guys wanted to release episodically, huh?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that type of model for those types of games, I think, really helps like bring into it. I get why they're probably not
hit their mark. If you go 2 months, then 4 months, and then a month, that's bad. But if you have it done and ready to go, honestly, release it every 3 weeks. I think that's more than enough time to give everybody enough.
That's right. That's what's interesting, because they didn't say they're not going to release it episodically necessarily. They said that they're developing it all at once. So they could still release it episodically, but have it be like every week or every month even, not 3-4 months like it was before. So yeah, there's still potential there, but at least they're getting it all done at once because they won't have that problem of crunch trying to get things out in time and all that. Halo Infinite's launch window has been 100% confirmed for fall 2021.
Really? Because it was 100% confirmed on the Xbox Series Xbox as well.
This is true. The Xbox Series Xbox. Yes, it was. You're 100% right there. But Vince, you actually missed it earlier. Had a prediction that they're going to release the multiplayer first.
Oh, I think that was... we've talked about that before, but yeah, I 100% believe that is going to come. I think that's going to be their big E3 drop.
That would be pretty cool. I actually am okay with that considering the major delays. Get the early access multiplayer out there, let people have a taste for it, and then build up to that single player. I think they'll hit it. I think they have to, because they came out in front of this way ahead of time, a full year, saying it comes out next fall. They cannot miss this. They have to hit it.
Again, they said the same thing in the beginning of 2019.
I mean, yes, they don't have to, but if they don't, oh my God, the way they're going to look, the mismanagement, it's going to be real bad.
You know what, dude? It is 2021. You have CD Projekt Red that's already the worst of the worst, so you can't. It's only up from here.
We'll see.
Hey, let's just say one thing though. Good on Microsoft for actually doing this though.
Yeah,
for actually pushing this back and not saying we're doing this in March.
We're not.
Yeah,
you're 100% right.
They're giving this team time, which is good. Agree. We can always pray for that.
EA has acquired Codemasters for $1.2 billion. They're hoping to leverage, the great people working at Codemasters with EA technology. I think the question becomes, do they just throw them on the Need for Speed, or do we still hold on to some of those IPs that Codemasters had?
I don't know. This is only good news considering how well BioWare is doing.
Yeah, sarcasm, but yes.
Here's the thing. EA technology, does that mean it's going to be Frostbite only for almost all these again? Because
oofa.
Cool. Yeah, big oofa.
Big oofa. Now, Take-Two is actually going after them first for $870 million valuation. A lot of people are saying they actually prefer EA to Take-Two in this situation. What do you guys think?
I do. I think this is. I mean, if I had to choose, it was between a big douche and a shit sandwich.
There you go.
Yeah.
And finally, I think this is the last story. Yes, it is.
It is.
Xbox will become an app on your TV within a year. Your smart TV, you'll be able to stream those games. All you're going to need probably is a controller. You can play your entire Xbox catalog and Game Pass and all that on your TV. What does this mean for the future of Xbox?
The same thing it's meant for years that I've said when Dean and Greg were on the show. This is Microsoft's overarching plan. They are not a console manufacturer in the same aspect of they are a service manufacturer at this point now. And they did not just get into it just because games. They got into it to look ahead for different technologies in different ways. Sony is going to be the only one that does the high-end traditional console. Nintendo is going to be the only one that focuses on games as fun first as the only console. And Microsoft is going to continue to Microsoft and just look for different ways to deliver their products in different variations at the most convenient form for them as well as consumers.
Any disagreement there?
No disagreement there. I mean, I mean, we've been talking about this now for a couple of months, where it just feels like Microsoft is trying to treat the Xbox platform as more of a. They want it to be Stadia. They want it to be Stadia plus it being your cable system. Like, that's the whole idea of what the Xbox One was supposed to be. You only need one box. That's clearly what they still want it to be. You just go to one spot, one place for everything. I think you look at probably like, I'm still not even sure if there's going to be a new Xbox in the next generation.
Mm-hmm. I think there always will be.
It's just not one platform that they constantly update. Yeah.
Yeah, I've said it before. Like before, I thought it was going to be like a modular system, which I don't think that was a crazy prediction, but I do think it's going to be a box. I think the Series X actually would have been a smarter thing to do as a streaming box, as opposed to this console that they're doing. As well as it's doing, I think there is no reason for it, especially considering they had the Xbox One X. And I think they only scrapped that because of the naming issues. But I think they're going to have their high-end machine, and I think you're going to have a streaming stick or a streaming like the Fire TV Cube or whatever it is. I think that's what you're going to get from here on out from Microsoft.
Well, I think their high-end machine is just a PC.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I mean, I honestly think PlayStation will go the same route. I think we'll have an app on the TV with PS Now and all that.
We did.
Very soon. Yeah, we did, right? Wasn't that at some point on there? And they took it off. But I think that'll come back. You'll start seeing these apps on your TV, and you'll be able to play a lot of games that way, and hopefully the technology improves and streaming improves, and especially when it comes to worldwide capabilities. And in a generation, we might all be playing these games on our TV without a box. We'll have to wait and see. And that wraps up the speed run. We did it in less than 20 minutes. Boom.
There you go.
Told you we would. Man.
Good job. And right on time. We're done at 10:55 on the dot.
Yeah, we're about an hour behind. Fine, let's wrap this up, guys. That is the show, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of the beta season of Next Level Gamescast. If you enjoyed the show tonight, please join us again live next month for the start of Season 1. Hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/levelup show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get those alerts whenever we go live with game streams or talk shows. If you're watching or listening to this as an archive, subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else. Also, very important, we detailed the new changes coming with Season 1 earlier tonight. You can see it all laid out on our Discord, and of course, it is also essential to the interactivity of this show, so join us there. Discord.gg/levelupnetwork. Become a part of this community even when we are not live. Make sure you get your submissions in for Fake Fans, NLG's Got Game, How You Reviewing, and the Halftime Hedge. You still have some time left as well to take advantage of the Season 0 bounties, earn SP, and go for the prizes that we announced at the start of the show. The PlayStation Plus, the merch for Season 1, the merch for Season 0. Those are all still in play. We got 10 days left, 11 days left in Season 0 for you to get that SP and try and take the number 1, 2, or 3 spot. Lastly, we do have some major shout-outs, Tom.
We most certainly do. We must, of course, thank those who go above and beyond to support this show and make it possible. Our producers supporting monthly at $25 and above, either here on Twitch or on our Patreon.
Time's
they
up.
are Kelly Jellyfish, Agent Vincent 4756. Can't mess that up.
You're all good.
Base 023S and Dirac11. Thank you so much to our producers supporting us on Twitch and Patreon. If you would like to become a producer of the show, you can go ahead and pledge $25 or more on either of these platforms, and you too can become part of the Next Level Gamescast.
Yes, yes, and a huge shout out. I got to give a shout out to Dirac and White Topaz tonight.
Way above and beyond.
Yeah,
tonight.
Average Psych. So many gifted subs tonight. 70 subs tonight.
Amazing.
Unbelievable support. You guys are all amazing. And well said, Tom. Thank you so much to everybody on our producers list. That is a wrap on season 0 of Next Level Gamescast. We got one season down, many, many more to go, but it is not over yet, Snake. It's not over yet. We do have just one more level. Each episode of Next Level Gamescast will end with a final word, and Tom has the floor this month. We cannot interrupt him. He has it.
Okay, friends, I am still burning about the treatment of The Last of Us 2 at the Game Awards. There's a couple of things that still bug me about this game that I need to get off my chest. First, while I know that the other guys will disagree with me on this in certain respects, I don't feel that the game was worthy of being given the Best Direction award, given the stories we've heard regarding crunch culture at Naughty Dog. Druckmann may have been the game's director, but as I mentioned earlier in the show, he's also the vice president of Naughty Dog. So he should have at least some influence over the use and abuse of crunch in regards to his baby. A story from Jason Schreier told us of devs who felt that it was implied by the company that they needed to work to get the job done at all costs, while Druckmann decided to pass the blame onto the devs, saying that it was their decision to crunch as hard as they did in some respects because they wanted to give the best game and effort possible. As a man who's not just the director but also the vice president, I don't think you're innovating the industry when you're falling back on crunch culture in order to force the completion of your game. Cyberpunk 2077 has been the most egregious example of what crunch can do to employees that we've seen most recently. But we shouldn't give Naughty Dog and other companies a pass for relying on this practice as an unfortunate but necessary evil in order to put a game out. Hire more people. Delay a game's release. These are much better alternatives than creating an unsustainable work environment where people's labor is taken advantage of. Secondly, I gotta hit the Game Awards a bit for a segment during the show. Two of their guests, actresses from Cobra Kai, jumped in to promote the new season of their show by giving their 2 cents on the Abby versus Ellie debate. Now, while I'm sure that there's some nuanced discussion that could happen in regards to the morals and ethics of each character, the way that this was presented to me was extremely tone-deaf to the story. Both of these women were depicted much towards Druckmann's apparent worldview that everyone has the capacity to be the most horrible, evil versions of themselves. In a lighthearted, my dad could beat up your dad kind of way, the topic was discussed without paying mind to the fact that both of these women are on some level sociopathic murderers whose grimness is only matched by the bleak outlook for humanity put on display for all of us to witness. Perhaps it's a minor nitpick of the evening on my part, but this is the kind of thing I hate about current pop culture, where we can minimize the actual gravity of this story, which led to people actually issuing death threats against one of the voice actors to a popularity contest. In that sort of debate, I feel like we all lose. With that being said, on a brighter note, happy holidays to you and yours out there. If you're in a position after this crazy year, in the spirit of the holidays, I feel like it's very important to try and give to a worthy cause of your choosing. I know that there's people in my life who could definitely use help. There's people I know who are struggling right now. So if you are in any sort of position where you feel like you can give, especially in light of this year, please go ahead and do it. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2021.
Very well said, Tom.
Very
I
well
wish I
said.
could debate you on some of that, but I'm going to resist as best as I can. But I do also want to thank everybody once again for watching the show tonight. We did go over once again. We're gonna get better at this, guys. I promise we're gonna get better at this. We did make up sometime. We were in a really bad place there for a little bit, but we did make up sometime, so that's good at least. And also, of course, come back next month just to let you know the next episode for season 1, episode 1. That is January 17th. So mark your calendars. 3rd Sunday of every month, unless we say otherwise. We will be here with Next Level Gamescast. We hope all of you have a fantastic holiday, as Tom also said. So until next time, take care, and as always, don't forget to level up.
Level up.
I was waiting for you guys.
Level up.
See you on the next level, everybody.